without mood and without shape. And so tonight we say, hip hip, chin chin, the rhythm section. And so tonight we say, hip hip, chin chin, 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 hip hip. And so tonight we say, hip hip, chin chin, 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 hip hip, chin chin. Hip hip,
Modesto Junior College. Can we hear it one more time for MJC Innovate Dance Company and Berkeley Dance? You can actually see them at Jam and Jive. Tickets are on sale now. It starts at the beginning of this next month, and they will be hosting the American College Dance Association this spring here at Modesto Junior College.
Good morning. Good morning. Such a great performance. Actually, it's not on. All right, so we'll improvise. Good morning, such a great performance. Actually, I wanted to do this weekend, so I'm gonna go dance and kind of just go hang out and stuff. So, thank you for being here. My name is Jose, I'm the Dean of Special Programs. I appreciate being here this Friday morning. Although I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning and I need my couple of doses of coffee, but we'll see where it goes. So, thank you.
And I'm Rob Stevenson. I'm the Dean of Arts, Performance, and Humanities here. We want to welcome you for our Fall Institute Day. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to have a bunch of students on campus on Monday. We're already seeing them all over campus this week. Exciting times. Hey, so last Institute Day, I wore this. I told a joke that was a little bawdy. I got a little criticism. So, I have a cleaner joke for you today. Why are pirates called pirates? Because they are. And if you don't like that one, you can take it up with Curtis Martin, my speechwriter. But I figured I'd work on a little prop work for this time. So I've been hearing this story of Dr. Sanders, when he was more Professor Sanders at the time, had a belt with a case on it. And this was not an F-act. He could actually do this thing. He could change colors with his highlighted markers just as he was at the whiteboard. I thought that sounded really cool. But you've got a bigger vision to give the college. So we got you something. The PDC got you a bandolier. And it's not optional to wear. James will be out to fit you with your mic in a second. Thank you for bringing It's a Bandolier. And James will help you with the light.
All right, so up next is Chancellor Young. If you could just join us, please, to share a couple words.
Good morning. I'm really delighted to welcome each and every one of you to the opening of the fall semester. We do this every semester at the beginning to kind of bring everybody back and then get ready to begin the work. So we have gone through a very difficult time. We lost a lot of students during COVID, and COVID is not over. I know we seem to think that it is over, but it is not. We, in fact, have more people getting sick with COVID, even though right now we're not required to send out the notices. So you haven't been receiving the notices. It's not because it has gone away, but it's still around. So I'm thankful that each and every one of us, we have found a way to work with it and continue instruction and continue serving our students. And because of that, our enrollment has continued to grow. As our enrollment continues to grow, we have to continually ask ourselves, are we serving the whole district as best as we can? For a long time, the district, both colleges, had talked about expanding the services to different areas so that we can draw more people in to enroll. And so in 2004, after the bond was passed, the district purchased 3 pieces of land, one in Patterson, another one in Turlock, another one in Calaveras. The idea at that time was to build a center in each of these locations. But we have not done it, mainly because the population increase that was anticipated did not occur. But something has been happening over in Patterson and the west side. If you have been by that area lately, you would have seen construction of houses, but all springing up. You know, people continue to move away from the Bay Area. So when they move away from the Bay Area, there are a number of places people could go to. One would be for them to move south, and they would be moving to Gilroy, and then making the long commute out to the Bay Area to work at Yang. Others would move eastward, inland. So they have been coming to Tracy. Then the houses in Tracy were more expensive. So then they started moving a little bit further east to Manteca. Well, the housing has also increased in price, and so folks are now moving to Patterson, right near the 580 and the 5 freeway. Work location, and people are coming, and they are still coming. So should we continue to ignore what is happening out there? Or should we look at this as a call to all of us to think of how we can serve the new residents in our district? Our district is big, 4,500 square miles, from the foothills in the Sierra down to the lowlands and going westward past the 580, over the little foothills and down, reaching down into Santa Clara County. All of that area out west is not served by us. Many of the people who live there in our district, they're being served by San Joaquin Delta College. And folks enroll over at the South Mountain House campus. And so we have been thinking about when is the time for us to start talking and thinking about serving an area of growth and definitely an area of need. I'm really glad that President Sanders is on board with this idea. I had shared this idea a number of times many years ago, but I wasn't able to get traction. But President Sanders and I would believe that it is time for us to look at the first step of beginning a third college in the West Side. That's not going to happen tomorrow, but we should begin the conversation of how we can be inclusive so that the residents in that area are not left out. Remember now, when someone moves into our district, the person supports us, the 2 colleges, with real estate assessment that a homeowner anywhere would pay. And we receive that. Right? So if we continue not to serve them, they would feel, I moved here, but YCCD feels that I'm not important and is not providing my needs being taken. So I just want to encourage you to begin this conversation of how we can have a third campus on the west side, and then eventually that campus will become a center, and then from a center to a college. I've seen it happen in a number of other places, and I was actually involved in a few places where it previously was at the very beginning of this outreach and growth. Right? So I'm very excited. Last but not least, I want to extend my thanks to the faculty here. Recently, my daughter, she was in some of the classes of a number of you faculty. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in biochemistry. So I asked her the other day, from your experience at UCLA and your experience at MJC, which do you prefer? And she had no hesitation, she said, MJC. Why? From here, she had small classes. What we considered big was actually nothing when what she found out when she got over to UCLA. In many of the classes, she would see a name of an instructor, but she would never be able to meet with the instructor in person, because the classes are taught by graduate assistants, and if you need assistance, you need help, you go to the office hours listed, the professor is not there. There's a graduate student there. So on her roster of classes, it might list Professor so-and-so, but she wouldn't get to know them, right? And by the way, if you think that, oh, you know, MJC is 100 years old, you know, our buildings and our equipment, they're old, she tells me that our science building has newer facilities and a much better lab than over at UCLA. So she wants me to extend her thanks. She's done, and so I just want to pass that on to you. So welcome back to fall. Have a great semester ahead. Thank you.
Can you please help me welcome to the stage MJC's president, Dr. Brian Sanders.
I got my clicker. I got my bandolier. I got me in the back. The picture of me with me. That's pretty fun. Good morning and welcome. I'm going to take this off. Rob, you missed the orange. I need orange and green. There's a brown that works very well, and I do like purple. True story. I would like to introduce to you one of our trustees who's here with us this morning, Leslie Beggs. If you stand for a moment. Leslie has been a part-time faculty member with us in the past. She serves on our board, and she is just a committed advocate for Modesto Junior College. She attends all our events, and she's a regular on our parade float, which you saw out front. Isn't that fantastic? You see that it's a pirate ship. We have our own pirate ship. I don't think that the other pirates in California community colleges have their own pirate ship. So I want to give a special thanks to Ty Helton in the back. He sits back in the shadows, but he is our creative genius on that. I want to thank Manuel Kuna, who's here somewhere, Manuel, and his welding students took a trailer that was donated that I want to thank Troy Rogat for arranging for this donation, and the team came together and has created that fun thing for us. That float is going to be used Well, okay, at the 4th of July, but also at the Christmas holiday parade in Modesto, but also because we're not just Modesto Junior College, we're the whole region, so we're going to the Turlock Christmas Parade. The first parade that it's going to be in is the Veterans Day Parade, and who's going to ride on it? Our veteran students, our veteran employees, our veteran advocates. We're going to the Cinco de Mayo parade. And what else? I don't know if there's other ones. We'll find out as we go along because we're just going to be doing these things. But that is our representation of the community. I want to invite each one of you, when the opportunity comes along, to be on it, to ride along on it, to walk alongside, to be a part of things and represent our college. Okay, I've gone off on all right. Okay, we're going to focus today. The president in some institutions comes up with crazy ideas, and then the next year comes out with other crazy ideas, and then the next year you get bombarded with other crazy ideas. One of the things that I'm committed to doing as Modesto Junior College president is to maintain our focus on what we've agreed to commit to focus on, which is our strategic plan. So as we go on, we're going to talk, how did that get in there? Is that hair? Yeah, that's me. 2004, found that in an old photo directory. Anybody still have those photo directories around? They are gold, by the way. Let me know if you recognize anybody that you see during today's presentation besides this guy, who at that point was about 9 years into a mathematics professor instructor role. Our 3 institutional goals for Modesto Junior College are black out, because I pushed the black out slide. Goal A, student success. We're going to continue to focus on what each student needs to fulfill their goals. Goal B is strengthening our college, focusing on ourselves, trying to help our college become stronger to better promote student success. And goal C is community partnerships. Goal C, outward focus on our community, building connections so that the future students in our community come to Modesto Junior College, advance their lives, get additional training, and can better take care of their families moving on into the future. We stick to our strategic plan because it's very straightforward. This is what we're about. Call out the names of these people if you recognize them. Yes, and he thinks that the strategic plan is very noble, as you can tell. Institutional goal A is student success, helping each student meet their goals. There's somebody we know. By student success at Modesto Junior College, we mean a couple of things. We really kind of focus on the high-level goals and successes. More students completing their programs more quickly. More students transferring less time in the program. More students completing the training, CTE programs, getting through our programs and earning a livable wage. Our goal is to move these things upwards, these metrics upwards. But we want to do it at every stage with equity. We keep looking at our data, and what we find is our 2 largest equity gaps are among African American students and Hispanic students. Of those, we have about 20,000 students, but these are enrollments, these are section counts, course counts. About 9,000 enrollments by African American students each year, about 135,000 students by enrollments by Hispanic students. And so in closing our equity gaps, we're looking at those goals. We're moving everything up for all of our students, but we do need to move these up more to close those gaps. I think we're committed to that, yes? All right. This person's committed to that. Relentless pursuit of equity. This is it. The nature of equity, the work that we're continuing to focus on, again, this is not new. This is what Modesto Junior College remains committed to. Identifying groups of students that are performing below others, and then diving into it, what might be wrong, what might be some of the cause of this, and what can we do to make it better, provide those additional supports. And our ongoing theme, which we're going to focus on this morning, includes becoming a truly Hispanic serving institution. Not simply a Hispanic enrolled institution. You saw me put up 135,000 enrollments. I'm a math teacher, I love the numbers. But Hispanic serving, what can we do differently to better serve our students? Okay, what's going to be our theme continuing for the... I think I did this whole slide presentation for that picture, isn't it great? So the cool thing about focusing on our data, and this was a great conversation I had just this week, one of those nerdy conversations between me and Katerina, our institutional research director, was about the numbers and the charts and the goals and stuff. And she says, hey, look at it this way. So all of our students, our success rates have increased. Last 3 years, you can actually watch it, year over year increase for 3 years of our data. About 4% for our dominant Hispanic or white group, and yet we're seeing 5.5% increase in success rates for our African American students and 6.2% increase in our Hispanic students. It's not an accident. It's because you are focusing on these goals and you are providing the supports that we need. A different way of looking at the numbers is to look at the additional students we need to help succeed so that the percentages are the same. That's what this means. So back in 21-22, we would have needed 816 more course successes among our African American students to close that gap, and now we need only 530. And then amongst our Hispanic students, we needed almost 10,000 more course successes, and now we're down to about half of that at about 5,000. And what that means is your interventions, your working with our students, has helped close 300 or so more African American student successes. Has helped result in closing about half, almost half of the gap there in helping more of our Hispanic students be successful. So thank you. This is great work. Modesto Junior College, you guys are doing great. Let's keep that up. Your efforts are reaching more students. And here's a fellow who is still here. Yeah, there he is. Good, I'm glad you made it before. He's also our Uber driver. He's heading over to get our keynote speaker a little bit later. So there's Glenn with hair. Yeah, all right, so individual development. As we think about equity work that each one of us can do, I want to challenge each of you with this because this is something I do with myself and have been doing for a long time. Is there something I can do differently to help more of my students rise to my level of expectation? You will not hear me stand before you and say, give more students A's. That's not the goal. I expect you to have high expectations for your students. And the good teachers, the role of the good teacher is help your students rise to that high level of expectation. Is there something, maybe you're doing everything you could possibly do, but is there something that maybe you could do differently? Pick up a little trick, do some other trainings, look reflectively on your own work, could do differently to result in even higher levels of students reaching that. A series of different trainings available this year on culturally relevant pedagogy, zero textbook cost, equity-minded syllabus. If these things sound similar or familiar to you, let's talk them through, find opportunities. I want to point to the bottom. This year, you'll hear soon from Dr. Regina Standback-Stroud about our Cultural Literacy and Social Justice Academy, an opportunity for you to participate in a series of workshops to address that top-level question. There's a good one. Yeah. Okay, so student support. Okay, look at this. All right, you guys need to stretch your legs a little bit. A couple of you. Look at all of these fantastic programs we have out here. I want to do this. If you're part, yeah, there is. I'm going to call out like 3 of these programs, and if you're a part of that program in any way touching it, I want you to stand up. Let's start with the Puente program. Who's doing Puente program? Please stand up. With 1, 2, fantastic. How about our financial aid folks? And before Eric sits down, how about our Emoja team? Thank you. We have 20,000 plus students, and you just saw a couple dozen of our team members stand up. And the thing is, we're about the people business. We're about helping people. And each person that you stood up, what you do is you work with some of our people and you care for them and you help them succeed. And what you saw, let's think about dollars for a second. We just had $2 million plus of our investment in people showing up. Our investment in student success was just that small group. And yet across all of this, look at the investment we're making of people helping people and using dollars that we get from our sources to help our students succeed. Really impressive, right? All right, I'm not gonna go through each of those bullet by bullet, but I am gonna show you a really great picture of, who's got it? Susie Woodhead, absolutely, isn't that great? Okay, as we're working on equity, I want you to focus this year, some of us in positions of leadership in particular, but also those of you in direct contact with students, what are the friction points? There's actually a phrase that Leslie brought up the other day. We were talking about policies and the things that block our students. Our goal is to reduce friction points to help our students go through more successfully. So what are the district, college, or student-facing state policies that contribute to equity gaps? And let's figure out who's in charge of fixing that, and then relentlessly work to replace those policies with new policies that promote equity. This is the classic definition of anti-racist work. That's what it is. And yet, if you don't like that phrase, it's just making things smoother for our students. It's reducing friction points. It's helping more students through so they don't have the obnoxious little blocks. Some examples that I've been pondering is like, what's the meaning of a fee waiver? I faced that when I was looking at a list of students who were going to be dropped for non-payment who owed $26. Why would there be a bunch of students that owe $26? Well, the answer may be rooted in they have a fee waiver, but it doesn't waive their health fee, right? And you're thinking, oh, well, what kind of policies are in your world that are causing these awkward little blocks? By the way, we didn't drop the students for not paying their health fee. We're figuring out ways to get around that, and we're working on fixing the underlying problem. The other thing that kind of came to mind this week is whether our policies are written in plain language. If it's written at the 18th grade level, and our students are coming in at the 12th grade level, maybe we've got some issues to work on with that, okay? All right, oh. Not doing that. Goal B, strengthening our college. There's a person. You recognize that one? Team building, we're going to invest in our people. Goal B of our institution is to invest in our people, restoring stability, really acknowledging the good work that they're doing. I hope that you're getting that message from me this morning, promoting and encouraging that positive workplace culture, and as I said before, setting and meeting high expectations. Here's somebody who does that. We're also going to be promoting our core strength. Some of the things that have really happened over the last year is we have established our permanent administrative team. We have one interim dean who's carrying us through this year. Other than that, all the deans and the VPs and president, we're all permanent. It's fantastic. We are working on careful and collaborative planning. Chancellor Young mentioned a third college initiative. That's 20 years in the future, but planning for that has to start now if we're going to be prepared for that in 20 years. So careful planning, educational master plan, facilities master plan. We're doing that collaboratively, preparing for the future. Professional development for all, and emergency preparedness. There's another person. We are going to be focusing on emergency preparedness this year. We have our campus safety committee. We are kicking off the membership of that in our first college council meeting. We're going to do trainings, initiatives, simulations, and preparations for emergencies that happen. Okay, emergencies that happen. We're going to be prepared for those. Goal C is building community partnerships, those outward focus points. I put this one up because he looks exactly the same. And I'm quite envious, although we have the same hairstyle now. I had hair back then, I can just say. That's a good one too. We are working on our community partnerships. Dual enrollment is thriving because of the work of the people in this room. Healthcare partnerships is growing. We have an apprenticeship program that's blossoming, and we're figuring out next steps on that. We're building public safety partnerships with fire, expanding that in with the police department and with the sheriff. We're trying to find other ways to advance students there. This week we had another session with Beam Circular that Dr. Mackey hosted and Emily hosted. We're building these partnerships to try to be that next iteration of things, and continuing education and opportunities for across our community to learn. Yeah, this is a good one. also with hair. There's a theme here, isn't there? Again, our goal is to help each student achieve their goals. And if you haven't heard, we're doing a women's empowerment camp with the fire agency this year. We'll get you the date. It'll go out again. Isn't that great? I believe this is the only active female firefighter in all of Modesto, Stanislaus Consolidated, and Turlock Fire. And she's lovely, so we're going to try to recruit some more people to be part of it, and Cece's been leading that initiative with our fire folks. There's another person who's been around for a while. Lastly, I want to focus us a little bit on the Caring Campus Initiative, just at the highest level of caring for our campus. Because I want you to know that we, our administrative team, our deans, our managers, we all care for all of you. We really do. We care for your health, we care for your well-being, and we are devoted to you. I want to challenge you to continue to care for each other. This is the character of Modesto Junior College, to care for each other. Please keep it up. And keep caring for our students. And the challenge of equity activism is a component of caring. That individual, personal, what might I do differently to help my students be successful? And then what on the institutional, what policies can we fix? This is part of Caring Campus too, fixing what's broken, making it better for our students. I had to end with the, isn't that a good one? I had to end with the mustache. It was epic. Why do I show you all these pictures? I got 3 reasons. First of all, it was fun. I hope you had a good time seeing your old friends. Those people, I showed you 16 people, 20 years each. I'm a math person, that's 320 years. Isn't that good? But across this crew, we've got thousands of years collectively of devotion to the students in Modesto Junior College. And then lastly, everybody who I showed you is in a different job, or has a different name, or has advanced in their career. And they're, we've got our vice president up there, and president, and some deans, and those. Some of you have only been here a little while, and yet 20 years from now, we're going to be looking at an entirely different slate of leaders, which will include many of you. So I hope that you have ambition for that, and you work towards that. We are excited for you, and at this point, I will stop talking, and welcome to the stage our amazing vice president team, Mr. Patrick Betancourt. Dr. Andrea Wilson and Dr. Sarah Schrader.
If only. Thank you so much. I can thank my very supportive administrative team of Andrea Wilson, and especially for that. Karma, right? You got it. Welcome, everybody. I'm so pleased to be here this morning. My name is Patrick Betancourt, and I am the Vice President of Instruction, and I have the privilege of serving you and our many, many students. I just want to talk this morning about what is new at MJC, but also touch on a few programs that we have been enjoying the success of for some time now. And so let's jump right in. They touch on 3 areas, 3 important areas of the college right now: accreditation, guided pathways, and education in our community. So I'll start with accreditation. Since last Institute Day, when Mike and I reported, we submitted a very successfully written plan. The accreditation peer review team saw the report, and we're very happy to say that out of 30 standards, we got a 94%. So that means there are 2 standards that they want more information about. And like good teachers, they're giving us a chance to redo for grade improvement. But the thing is with ACCJC, the only grade they'll accept is 100%. So we're working on that grade improvement right now. We're about to submit a report that addresses the two areas, and those are our annual cycle of reporting, and secondly, attention to regular and substantive interaction in online education. The cycle of reporting piece is one that I consider easy to remedy. The college has new planning documents, as you just heard about. And when the report was written, those documents were still in their first year of implementation, so there was not a chance yet to demonstrate how we would close the loop and report out. We're closing the loop now. Earlier in the week, Classified Senate heard a report. Later, the report is coming to Academic Senate, then College Council, then the Board of Trustees, all in time for our September 17th site visit. The second area is how we determine if an online class provides adequate, regular, and substantive interaction, which is interaction with students in the online class. This one is a little bit trickier because ACCJC hasn't absolutely defined what regular substantive interaction means. So our response will remind them of all the excellent training we provide, like the workshop this week on the same subject, and that evaluations will be reviewed as part of negotiations this year. An important aspect of their consideration will come from you, because when they come to campus, they want to meet with groups that they've identified, like the Online Education Committee. So it's important that if you're called, you make every effort to attend those conversations. It's important that they hear from you, your authentic experience with regular substantive interaction, and what online teaching is like at Modesto Junior College. Those invitations will be coming out very soon by email. So I want to move on to guided pathways. And there are several initiatives being carried out right now that will result in greater variety of students more easily moving through our system. The AB 928 committee included in their report just yesterday that they aspire, this is the state committee, that they aspire to disrupt the status quo and achieve the maximum possible for the state of California and its residents, and also to elevate closing equity gaps by race and ethnicity as their first priority. They go even further to remind us that closing equity gaps should remain a theme underlying all subsequent activities. A tall and important order. As an institution, we share the same goals, and bolstering guided pathways focus will help us stay the course. So throughout time, we've been working on several guided pathways related projects, but intentionally linking each of those to our overall framework has gotten away from me. But now with renewed focus, I look forward to a Academic Senate appointed guided pathways coordinator, and I'm looking forward to the energy we can put behind that initiative once again. There's an elephant on campus. We call it CalGETSI. Yeah, I hear that many of you have heard of it. The 928 legislation includes revising course outlines to respond to new GE breadth requirements and standards for transfer and non-transfer courses. This work is critical because effective with the fall 25 catalog, new transfer requirements need to be in place for all students. Part of the effort is being supported by the brand new General Education Committee that serves as an advisory body to curriculum, as well as a cross-district effort to align resources. And I'd like to thank all members of that committee, because if it were not for you, we would not be hitting the targets we're hitting, and we're going to make the deadline. Additionally, this fall, faculty and curriculum committee are anticipating the first release of AB 1111, also known as Common Course Numbering. The goal of Common Course Numbering is to institute identical course IDs, such as English 100, for commonly transferred courses at all California community colleges. As part of that work, MJC will need to respond to 6 new course descriptors so that those new course IDs were student-facing by fall of 25. This work will also require cross-district support and investment from all of you. And finally, I want to touch on education in the community. Either through teaching or leadership, I have been committed to serving underserved students for 28 years now. That seems very weird to say. Serving this population is heart work. So many classes of basic skills writers didn't know it, but they were forming my educational values that put me right here, right now. So with them in mind, I look to the following. This semester, we'll continue projects like partnering with Waterford High School to continue providing instruction in child development. We'll continue offering dental assisting at Empire. We'll continue offering administration of justice, history, and sociology at the REACT detention facility. And we'll continue the many, many community-based English language learning opportunities that exist. That's just a small sample of what we're doing. But newer is the realization brought to us by West Side citizens that 30 miles from here, in the communities of Gustine, Newman, Patterson, and Wesley, there are graduating classes where 3 out of 4 students are determined not college and career prepared. 28% are English language learners, and 78% are socioeconomically disadvantaged. They need us. We've started serving them by offering 4 courses in Patterson this semester, and 6 are expected in spring. We're making small steps, but progress nonetheless. And one more blast from the past. I understand the difference we can make because as I boarded that bus on my first day of kindergarten, what awaited me on the other end was a school whose success rates ranked among those I just mentioned, rural and underserved. The success rates were what they were, but the variable were the people. Now, the photo and the quotation and the video clip I'm about to show all remind me of my why. Compassionate people in schools make the difference. It was people like the yard duty aide and the bus driver. That was Mrs. Davis. But now, it's you that makes school the place where I want to be. So I'd like to wrap this up with a 2-minute video YouTube clip. It's from a larger portion called Every Kid Needs a Champion by educator Rita Pearson.
For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, There were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
So teach anyway. Thank you, everyone. It's going to be a great semester.
Hey, good morning, everybody. As that slide states, my name is Dr. Sarah Schrader. I'm the Vice President of College and Administrative Services. And a lot of what my areas focus on is the strategic goals of A and B, so student success and strengthening our core. The last fall, I believe I was able to share that we had set aside over $1 million in our funding to be able to do furniture replacement projects. And so we've been doing that gradually over each semester. And this past summer, we have been able to, in Founders 128, replace the desks that had the attached chairs with desks with detached chairs to make it much more comfortable for our students. We also replaced the stage in MSR, which was a little sketchy to walk on. So we're really happy about that. And we are getting ready to add a lift so it is ADA accessible. The library basement 10 actually has some new furniture in it with new tables and chairs as well that are able to be moved around so they don't have to stay in this pattern. But this is going to become a meeting room for anyone who would like to use it. I know Academic Senate currently uses it. I know the deans are going to want to use this as well, and other groups on campus. So know that this space is open for large meetings if you would like to, and you can rearrange that furniture how you see fit. We are also happy to say that we have new furniture in the lobbies of Yosemite on the first floor and second floor. And we're hoping that these are going to be great gathering spaces for our students to feel more comfortable and want to stick around on campus. We replaced some of the furniture also in Glacier Hall, some of the old chairs and sitting stations, so we've done that. The lobby of CAT, we have delivery happening. I think Sam ran out. We had delivery happening hopefully 35 minutes ago. So we should have new furniture coming in right now. Some furniture projects that are in process are the lobby of the Science Community Center, the classified Senate office in the library basement, as well as the lounge and ag. If you guys have other areas that have not been mentioned or have not been addressed, we still have plenty of funding, so please contact your immediate supervisor or your dean so that we can start making sure that we address the areas that we need to. Other updates that we're working on, our president talked about collaborative planning. So our facilities master plan is what we are working on in collaboration with our district office. And we will be conducting site visits this October. So after our EMPs are done, we are going to be having the consultant come on campus. We will be conducting 5 or 6 visits on campus We'll be having it in groups of schools and departments so that people can come and share their ideas of what their vision is for our institution in the next 10 to 20 years. And so that's what we're trying to build our facilities master plan on. After those visits, we'll be inviting the community to come and share their input as well so we can incorporate that into our visits. And our goal is to complete this plan by the end of the fiscal year. So should it, one day we decide and the board decides that we're able to go out for a bond, we will have all of our planning in place so that we can have that ready to go. In terms of resource allocation, as one of the co-chairs, and Kevin, I believe you're out there, my co-chair for Resource Allocation and Facilities Committee, we are going to be very busy this year. You guys had the pleasure, I know it's the ultimate pleasure, to complete program review, right? Yay, you completed that back in the spring. And so please know that those program reviews do not just end up in somebody's desk somewhere, but the Resource Allocation and Facilities Committee actually gets the resource requests for equipment, technology, facilities, and other. And that committee has the ultimate pleasure of ranking all of those requests and trying to allocate as many dollars as we can to accommodate those requests. I don't have a blank check, so please bear with us as we try to stretch our dollars as far as we can. We will also be incorporating the allocation of our Strong Workforce and Perkins activities under resource allocation and facilities as well, so that will be happening after the application process for Strong Workforce and Perkins is done. And we will also be looking to consolidate professional development requests. So there is a professional development committee that we have on campus, but there's other avenues that folks are able to go to request other professional development dollars. We are going to be working this year to consolidate student equity achievement dollars and our Strong Workforce Perkins professional development dollars under the professional development committee, so there's really kind of one place to go for those requests, and that will hopefully be in place for the 25-26 year. So you may have noticed, and I'm hoping you have noticed, that there's a new website. So I want to thank our IT department as well as our marketing and our public relations department for all their hard work in getting this project rolled out. The idea with the rollout is that the user experience is going to be more focused on our prospective and current students as well as our staff, but it also had a more student-focused design. And I will be honest with you, the first day I tried to use it and I looked for my little email icon, I thought to myself, I'm not going to call Jeanette and ask. I'm just going to find it, and I was able to, and it is pretty intuitive to work through. It does allow for new ways to explore our programs as well as get new data from JobSpeaker. And then it also has an enhanced accessibility design to it, so it is accessible for information for all visitors. We do have content creators and editors within your schools and your departments, and now they're able to use new tools like accordions and blog posts to be able to put more information out on the website. Each page has a feedback link, so if you feel the need to provide the feedback, and I know that we would appreciate any feedback that you have, please go to the bottom of each page and fill out that form. And next, I would like to invite Dr. Andrea Wilson.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. We need theme music when we come up here. We really do. There's my student services squad and our new PD technology that made their debut, the upgraded, new and improved. Let me make sure student services is here. Student services. Student services. Student services. All right, now I can begin. When my squad is in the building. So, goal A, student success, and how we are making an effort to help each student meet their goals pretty much falls into these categories. Support services for students, the utilization of resources, and creating a sense of belonging. And with those support services, the success hubs that are now located in each school, almost, that is where they have their success teams. We want to make sure students are connected. Our Welcome Center that will have its grand opening ribbon cutting next week on Thursday. That is a space for our new students, for their first and follow-up meeting when they come. That's where they will start their tours at for MJC. They will be able to meet with our program specialists or peer mentors, our student ambassadors. So that peer-to-peer support to help them navigate the resources and services. That is what the Welcome Center is for. So please drop by there next Thursday for our grand opening. As far as the utilization of resources, our goal in student services is, the key word is maximization. Making sure students maximize everything that is available to them when it comes to not just resources and services, but their finances, the monies that are available. We have students who are leaving money on the table. The difference between moving from 12 units to 15 units is the difference between $2,000 and $4,000. We want to make sure that our students are taking advantage of everything available to them, and that is where that engagement with faculty and other areas to keep pushing students to, again, look at their financial aid. We have the mobile app now, but this year the mobile app now includes My MJC and Starfish. So again, we're in phase 2 of the new mobile app, so we're no longer using the Stone Age ID cards. But now those 2 programs are on the new mobile app. And although the meal plan is there, that won't be into the next phase. So then we'll be able to load their meal plans on there. Creating that sense of belonging, as Brian mentioned, you saw all the programs and services we have available for our students. So it is something for everybody at MJC, for all students. And they fall within those categories. So if it's something that doesn't meet their needs, they want to create a club or organization, that opportunity is available as well. But they fall in those categories of academic, recreational, student development, all the basic needs, services, and wellness, the cultural and affinity programs. We have all the affinity spaces that we have some that will be opening up this fall, but there is a place of engagement for every student at MJC, so please encourage them to do that. But ultimately, our goal is a comprehensive plan for all students. We want to go beyond just the educational plan. But what if we can have a career plan, a health plan, a finance plan, a wellness plan, and a leadership development plan for every student, so they're not just walking out with a transcript of classes, but a holistic transcript of everything they've experienced at MJC. For goal B, strengthening our college, the inward focus on our core. First and foremost are the opportunities to showcase MJC. We have 2 major events that help us to do this across campus. One is our Welcome Day, that's obviously next Thursday. That opportunity to showcase every school, every program, every service to all of our students at MJC, and then New Student Day in the spring, so Saturday, April 12th. Also, in strengthening our core and strengthening our college, it's the strength of within. So the stronger, how many of you have heard, get your house in order first? Because if we're strong within, between the instructional side and the student service side, it benefits the students. So we want faculty guidance and support when it comes to referring and encouraging students. So the more proactive faculty can be, because you are the link between student services and students, the more proactive you can be, the more beneficial it is to the student. So a student is not going to come to you to say, I'm hungry, I didn't have a place to sleep last night, I don't have any money, and I can't afford the books in your class. But if you're proactive with all students and you tell them up front, even give extra credit, go visit the pantry, go check out these services that provide book vouchers, go to career services. Give them extra credit, encourage that to happen, because the more they engage with something on campus, the more likely they will continue on campus. Feel free to consult with student services. If you're having behavior intervention issues or mental health issues with students, please consult with student services. We're here to support you. But also support us. So when it comes to deadlines and processing the procedures, it's helpful to student services and to the student. The things that we can do to eliminate those gaps that impact students, the better. So final grades on time is so helpful. But not only is it helpful, but you need to understand the impact of it. It impacts students' academic status, it impacts their financial aid, it impacts the virtual college, it impacts their prerequisites. It impacts a whole department that now has to go through one by one and make corrections. So please keep that in mind. So you may think, oh, I just have 2 students in this one class, but multiply that 2 students by 200 instructors by that number of sections. So please keep the impact of those in mind. And then obviously, we have our IDEA committee, our Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, Accessibility, and Anti-Racism committee. Again, you're going to hear about the academy momentarily. It will take place throughout the academic year. And we have the pleasure of starting our employee affinity groups that took place starting in January every month through the semester, and we'll be kicking it back up this fall as well. And then finally, with community partnerships and our outward focus on our community, we have our NJC Experience Days, and our CCAP is expanding. So this semester we have 12 districts, 21 schools, 85 sections of CCAP classes. So please, thank you. Our biggest community event that is taking place also next week, West Fest. We have buses coming in from high schools. We have 3 buses with 150 students and over 50 college reps who will be there. Our high schoolers, our parents, our communities are invited on the West Campus next Wednesday evening. So again, please encourage that. Obviously, we have our affinity conferences that take place throughout the year. Hispanic Ed Conference is coming up this semester, as well as next semester for African American Ed Conference and the Pride Education Conference. We have a variety of community services, community partnerships through all of our programs and services. So a lot of the social services agencies, career services are linked through student services for students. So you don't have to be a social worker, you don't have to be a therapist. We have experts and qualified folks on campus who support students in those needs. And then obviously our college connections, we signed during the summer with Cal State Sacramento with their Black Honors College. Clearly we have our WOW with Stan State, and we're doing the college tours throughout various programs at the UCs, the CSUs, and the HBCU tour as well. Now, we are going to be kicking off, as I mentioned, our Cultural Literacy and Social Responsibility Academy this year. I have a QR code up there. You'll see it again at the end of the next presentation. But Dr. Regina Stanback-Stroud, I'm going to do an introduction for her. She will be our facilitator of this academy. This is the work of the IDEA committee in bringing this to MJC. And Dr. Stanback-Stroud has served more than 35 years as an educator. She began her career in education as a professor of nursing at Rancho Santiago College, now Santa Ana College. She later became the Mission College Dean of Workforce and Economic Development, Skyline College Vice President of Instruction and President, before appointed Chancellor of the Peralta Community College District. Her successful tenure as college president included leadership and establishment of the Skyline College Promise, the Equity Institute, the Spark Point Center, and the Center for Transformative Teaching and Learning, as well as capital improvements and a new baccalaureate program, diversification of faculty and staff, and successful fundraising. She's been named the President Emerita by the San Mateo Community College District, and she is highly regarded for her work in student equity and diversity. It is my pleasure to bring up to you the President of the State Academic Senate of California Community Colleges, Dr. Regina Stanback-Stroud.
Good morning, Modesto Junior College. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. She said that I've dedicated 35 years of my life's work to making sure that people have education, access to education as a practice of freedom, and I just want to establish that I started when I was 2. So she's right, it's been that long. It's actually been the fundamental purpose of my existence. And the interesting thing is that as I was listening to the remarks that Dr. Hart made, that the different speakers have made here, it's just consistently been a resounding statement of a commitment to student success and a definition of success that you are all coming together on. And I particularly appreciated, and just it really resonated with me, that there's this relentless pursuit of equity. And I think that part of the terminology was equity activism. And you must know that as I go throughout the state and I do this work, because equity work is really work about establishing excellence and not necessarily from the standpoint of changing or fixing the students, but it's about looking at ourselves, our practices, processes, and procedures that impact the student's ability to get in and get through and get out on time. And it actually is about us looking at ourselves and what we need to do. Because we know that we are pretty successful in being able to teach and serve. We are successful in our roles as administrators. Indeed, as a matter of fact, when we look at the equity gaps that you're changing, yes, there are going to be some things that you do to support the student with all of those with those services, and that really move the students to be able to have the kinds of skills and knowledge and talents that you want them to have. But those things may be true, but there also are opportunities for us to look at ourselves and to figure out what it is that we need to do, and we reconceptualize that statement, and not ask the question is why Black students not doing as well as white students, or why are Latino students not doing as well as white students. But the question is, why are we so consistently unable and unsuccessful in teaching Black and brown students and serving Black and brown students, as well as we are able to serve white students? We know that we can teach, we know that we can serve, we know that we can lead in administration because we teach and serve white students so well. So what is it about our practices, processes, and procedures that impact our ability to be successful with that group of students? So I really appreciate the level of sophistication of thinking around these things. When I hear these kinds of comments, and I understand that they're not superficial patronizing statements about the right thing to say about equity, but they are a real commitment to something larger than yourselves, which is the success of the students and the success of your community. And part of that work is about, quite frankly, getting smarter around this stuff. I have a terminal degree that is grounded in the framework of critical race theory. And I still get it wrong sometimes, because you see, in this nation, we're not probably as sophisticated, and particularly talking about race, even though I know there are multiple areas of intersectionality when you look at equity. We're not particularly sophisticated in doing so. We're not practiced, quite frankly, in doing so. And so we're going to get it wrong. And one of the things that I start those kinds of conversations off with is, so therefore you have to give people permission to be imperfect. They're going to get it wrong. And if we don't give permission if we don't give people permission to be imperfect, then they may not engage for fear of saying something wrong, or doing something wrong, or having you think something wrong about them. So we have to make it so that they're safe to engage, so that we all are safe to engage. And I make a distinction between safety and comfort. I didn't say that we have to prioritize people's comfort, and particularly we don't have to prioritize white comfort. But I do think we have to make sure it's safe for us to have these conversations. And one of the safe places that I hope that we can have these conversations is in your Cultural Literacy Social Responsibility Academy. So one of the things that we take into consideration is that you make these commitments to the community. That you say in your mission statements, give me people who want to get further education, give me people who want to go up in their jobs, give me your precious few resources, and we will commit to these things that are in your mission statements. And in your mission statements, you actually make commitments to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in some ways directly, some ways indirectly. You have it throughout your documents. I've read your strategic plan, impressive, very impressive, and just to the point. I really appreciate it. I've read your strategic plan, your Ed Master Plan, and I think also your student equity plan. I finished that. Looked at board resolutions that may exist, and sometimes boards will take resolutions when something happens. And then looked at your climate action, your campus climate survey action plan. And there were implications in that as well. And so, in looking at the implications of the climate survey and increasing the sense of belonging and centering students and student success and embracing employee diversity, and looking at the need for racial equity, literacy, development, one of the things that we proposed, in which I really have to say that I appreciate the leadership and the support and the interest on the part of Dr. Hart, Dr. Wilson, and the IDEA Committee for even making space for you all to be able to have access to this resource. So part of the Academy is, first of all, is to develop some consciousness around our thinking and our journey. We all are on different paths and different journeys in terms of our racial and equity literacy. None of us are as culturally fluent and racially literate as we want to be. So one of the things that we do is we engage the participants of the Academy in a 21-day habit challenge. And that's based on Dr. Eddie Moore's scholarship that says, look, it takes 21 days to develop a habit. And we provide the resources for you, but you do something around racial equity, and we center our equity work in race, though I know that there are lots of other areas of intersectionality. But because race is the predominant, the hierarchized racial hierarchy that many of our social institutions are structured around and that are such a prevalent part of our nation, and yes, our educational system, and because we have a racialized classes system that was built to maintain a certain social order that is based on race, then we focus and address it in that context. And so, in this 21-day challenge, you will read something. You might look at a 3-minute YouTube video. You might talk to your uncle across the Thanksgiving table about the elections coming up. It's going to be a conversation about race. As Ijeoma Oluo says, you cannot live in a nation that was founded on the genocide of the people and built with the chattel slavery for centuries on the backs of other people and think that it ever is not about race. So as long as this nation exists, it will be about race. So in that 21 days, and yes, you'll do it on Saturdays and Sundays, etc., you'll have that habit. We ask you to keep a tracking sheet. We encourage you to keep a journal. We also make a nationally certified counselor available. Think of it as office hours, 1 hour a week, so that you have a place to just come and say something or talk about a conversation you had that you wish you had said something differently. Or to explore things, or sometimes just to listen. Sometimes there are tears, sometimes people are glad that they had an experience, sometimes there are epiphanies. So lots of different experiences in that. And then we have a level of curriculum, for lack of a better word. There are a series of workshops, and we try to develop these workshops so that you have access to different pieces of this. This is not all inclusive of everything you ever wanted to know about race, but we're afraid to ask, but it is some grounding foundational work, all right? So if you are in this academy, and we designed it so that it will have some significance or some meaning or some relevance by constituency. If you're a faculty member, for an example, you will be interested in the area that's called Inclusive Classroom, where you look at students' cultural assets, the inclusive classroom environment and foundation, and the inclusive classroom around teaching and learning. And that's where you talk about some of the things that are around decreasing curriculum trauma and, for lack of a better word, decolonizing your curriculum, decolonizing your syllabus, thinking about your grading practices, etc. But those are the things that, you may be interested in as a faculty, but is not necessarily the certificate that the classified professional is interested in. All of the constituents will have the foundational workshops that are things like what are the principles of cultural literacy, and that really is a principles of equity type workshop. Cultivating open dialogue, how do we talk about this stuff? And who am I? The social construction of race, where we talk about actually the hierarchization system that was built, centuries ago, and that have been, basically sanctioned and solidified in our societal institutions, and then equity centered approaches today. Everybody takes those foundational workshops, and then classroom workshops. That's primarily for the focus of the faculty. Leadership and cultural literacy, social responsibility is equity-minded leadership for administrators, for people who are in leadership positions. And then the affinity group, and that's building out your community affinity groups. That's the beginning. That's a newer level of narrative conversation, workshops, body of information that's going on in the community colleges now. Community colleges are developing their affinity groups, and we've learned of some practices and some resources that have been helpful in one area, in one community college that they share, and those types of things, or in another, and so we share that. So those are and that would be, if you want the community affinity certification, you would take those workshops, foundational workshops plus additional workshops. If you want the leadership certification, foundational workshops plus additional workshops, etc. So that's kind of the structure of it. And in that, you have workshops that are about, how you navigate along your journey, where do you want to be, developing your common narrative so that you start to have this conversation at MJC, and having commitments to principles and practice and engagement, and making sure that you have the leadership. And the leadership is not exclusive to administration. We all are in leadership positions. We all are in positions of influence and consequence that can make a difference, and we have to be willing to use those positions. This is just a few of the people that you will have a chance to interact with. If you are part of the academy, that's myself. Anton Blewett is a senior education planner with RSSC. Brian Christian, I keep changing his name. Brian Christian is the Director of Operations and Communications at RSSC, and he makes sure that we look like we know what we're doing. Dr. Sheila Smith-McCord, she is a celebrated award-winning playwright, author of multiple books, an academician that focuses and specializes in restorative justice and mediation and communication. So some of those how to have conversations, difficult conversations, are where we draw on her expertise. Dr. Siri Brown is an academician that specializes in American history, specifically with a concentration on women's history. She developed the Africana Studies Center that is renowned at Merritt College. She is a faculty member at UC Berkeley, as well as she's retired from the California Community College system as well. Saida Stroud, who is joins me here today, is the Director of Strategic Business Development. And Saida is also involved in some of our, purpose-centered types of workshops and career development types of workshops that we do. Dominique Benavides is Director of Institutional Effectiveness, and she will be the person that you meet around the equity-minded data consideration. And Dr. Alexandra Burrell, who is actually the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Laverne University of Laverne. She is the certified counselor and leads the 21-day challenge. And then there are others that you may meet in the course of this, but this is just a few names, people that you will come across in this process. I want to share with you, because I like to ground my work in students. I wanted to get a feel for Modesto Junior College. I've read a lot of different things about the college and looked at the strategic plans, went through all different types of things, but then I wanted to humanize it and said I'd like to talk to some students. And I want to thank Dr. Wilson and all the rest of the people who at this college were very receptive and in the last minute, helping me make some connections. This is a student that you serve, and Torrance is a sociology major in his fourth semester, and I asked him about his experience here at Modesto Junior College, more so to say, is there anybody that made a difference in your life? And he said, I want to give a shout out to Coach Marvin Jackson, Tracy Potts. They changed my life. He said, oh, and a shout out to Giselle Flores for putting me in a position to even be acknowledged. And what he said was that they mentored me and gave me direction as an African-American man and the ways I can stand out and make a difference in my community. I thank them for giving me the opportunity to show my daughters what being successful in school looks like. They helped me get it did. And then I talked to Jessica Downing Bravo, and she's a sociology major. She wants to be a career guidance counselor. She's planning on transferring as well. And she said she wanted to give a shout out to Ben Riley and to Stephen Lohmeyer. And she just said, I don't even know what to say. They just made a difference, and if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be here. And she said, I said, is there any advice for Modesto Junior College? She said, well, I don't want to say anything bad because I've had like really good people. She said, but maybe they could be less computer heavy, or they could increase the support with the older generation that's coming back to college. So she said some people like that are old, like 50. She said, you know, like they come back to college and they don't even know how to turn the computer on. So maybe they could increase some support with, you know, old people. I didn't have the heart to tell her how old I was. We were on the phone. This is a little depiction of the schedule. We've got some things laid out. We've worked with the college and we've worked with the people that are presenting, etc., to make sure these schedules match. We'll make sure that you have a full document that you can refer to as well. But we identified, if you take a look, we start September 6th is one of the first foundational workshops, and these are virtual workshops. And we tried to establish them with the school, with the college, so that they were consistent. You know, they were consistent, like on the third Monday or something like that. So, however they fall on Fridays. So you'll notice that most of them fall on a Friday. Every once in a while we have to change, you know, that, but most of them fall on a certain Friday. And we tried to also be consistent with the times, so that it starts at 1 o'clock, and I think there was 1, I can't remember. We might have managed that, but we had to work around one of your schedules. But Fridays at 1 o'clock as they're scheduled. And that's it. This is a QR code for you to enroll or register in that, and I hope that we get a chance to see most of you involved in that academy. And it's my pleasure to be a part of your endeavor.
It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage our presidents of the Academic and the Classified Senate, and two of my favorite leaders on campus to work with, Giselle Flores and Amanda Cannon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm getting over being a little emotional seeing Torrance get acknowledged like that. He's one of those students that makes you really look forward to grading. I loved seeing his assignments. You know, you get through, you're tired, and seeing his assignment, Torrance! So that made me just so happy. So I'm glad he was acknowledged for being so amazing. So I'm Giselle Flores. Buenos dias, colegas. Good morning, colleagues. I'm Giselle Flores. It is my distinct honor to continue to serve as Academic Senate President and represent faculty. It's truly been a learning experience, but I've enjoyed every minute and have really met and gotten to know so many new people that have been here for a long time but are new to me. So I've really gained a lot of knowledge, see you all as mentors, and I have an excellent exec. So I'm really happy that I have a great team to work with as well. All right, I wanted to start off with this beautiful picture, my favorite picture of our annual Faculty Professional Development Institute. It was in the Sillamar this year. We had an incredible committee who worked really, really hard to put this on. So I just want to take a second to acknowledge them and thank them for all of their hard work. It was an amazing time for faculty to reflect, to reconnect, and to reimagine what we do as professionals. So thank you to the committee, thank you to everyone who participated. It was really such an incredible event, and I can't wait for the next one. So I'd like to start I'll be honest, being forced into the theme of belong, learn, thrive. I'll start with the sense of belonging, which is incredibly important as more and more often we're coming back to campus and we're finding that we need to get back to a place where we're getting to know each other in more than a professional manner. It's important for us to get back to a relationship where we truly are caring for each other, especially with some of the challenges that we're all facing in our personal lives as well. So belonging is extremely important. What I'd like to focus on are a few of the commitments that the Academic Senate has for faculty this year. So affinity groups, I know Dr. Wilson touched on that a little bit. I've been really enjoying our Comunidad affinity groups. I appreciate the classified professionals who have taken on the chair positions of that affinity group, and I hope that more faculty join in because it's a wonderful time to connect with each other and share our stories. New Faculty Fridays have been a huge hit. We had such a large tenure group cohort last year, and it was wonderful to get the chance for them to build relationships. You never forget the people you start with. As I was looking at all of the pictures that Dr. Sanders was bringing up on the slideshow, I hope that's what you feel, our new faculty. In however many years you're here, you have this great history with the people that you work with. So we're also going to welcome in our brand new cohort. How many of you are brand new here, brand new faculty here today? Woo! Welcome. I'm excited to welcome you into that new Faculty Friday event. And now our faculty from last year, you are no longer our faculty babies. You are now mentors to this new group. So welcome. We're also going to have a lot of work to do this semester and this year, and so I will be putting a call out for several faculty coordinator positions. And negotiating with our YFA to make sure that those are compensated positions. Where's Brandon Shutt? I know he's here. So he and I had a great meeting last semester, and he has some fantastic ideas for our work committee, which is working on reconnection. We jokingly call it our work committee so that we can tell people, oh, I'm sorry, I have a work meeting. And what we're planning on doing is making it about fun and being together in a social way, whether we're at Camp 4 or we're doing a Zumba class or whatever it is, just making sure that we're connecting with each other. The next part, which is of special importance to faculty, is the learn aspect of Belong, Learn, and Thrive. We have a lot of things planned in the Senate, including the curriculum that Patrick talked about. I was really hoping that he would dance while he talked about it because it might make it sound more fun. But we have incredible faculty leads. Letitia Senshaw and Tina Akers-Porter have been phenomenal curriculum committee co-chairs, and they will continue to share learning sessions so that faculty know what's happening with curriculum on our campus. My heart is so full. Dr. Stroud, thank you so much for your comments. I cannot wait to join the academy. It's going to be something that is much needed, and we're just so honored to have you be part of our campus. Another topic that has come up a lot in the Senate is AI, so that'll be a big focus of our learning this year. I'm also really excited that our fabulous Sylvia Rodriguez in the Senate office, she had the wonderful idea of creating a Canvas shell for the Senate. So how many of you love board docs? Yeah, exactly. So what we've decided is that we're going to have a Canvas shell for faculty that all faculty will have access to, and you will be able to find all of the same information, and I'll give announcements. I plan on doing video announcements for faculty so you get a brief overview of what we're doing in the Senate. And the Thrive aspect. So we have a couple really exciting opportunities this semester and this year. The first one is our Caring Campus Faculty Edition. So our classified professionals have been an incredible inspiration to us as faculty, and now I can't wait to start the faculty part of that work, including we're hoping a co-retreat between faculty and classified professionals where we connect with each other. It's so important. Amanda and I have really bonded over our time in leadership, and we feel like this is going to be a wonderful opportunity for more faculty and classified professionals to connect with each other. And then lastly, I am just, again, so excited about this academy. When we can have brave conversations, we can really set an example for how to have brave conversations for our students. And so I just cannot wait. I hope more people join. I hope it's not just the same faces that I see in a lot of rooms. I hope we get a lot of really great volunteers. And that's it for me. But what I'd like to do, is bring up my fabulous partner in crime, Amanda Cannon.
My name is Amanda Cannon. I'm your resident researcher, but I'm also your Classified Senate President. And I wanted to say shout out to all the classified professionals in the room. I see you guys. This is amazing. And so nice to be part of this weekend. So thank you for being here. I wanted to show off classified belonging as well. This is the Caring Campus 1-year anniversary, and we came together and it was a great time. So shout out to Caring Campus for doing that and making it an amazing experience. So in the theme of belong, learn, and thrive, there's many opportunities for classified professionals to belong. Caring Campus, as I mentioned, gives us opportunities to interact with our students, but also get to know your peers. A lot of us are siloed in different areas, don't necessarily know who our partners across the campus are or on the other campuses. So Caring Campus is an awesome way for all of us to come together and get to know each other and find out how we can best support each other. There's representation opportunities on committees and councils. You can get as involved as you want. If there's somewhere that you feel like your expertise can benefit a council or a room or a discussion, it's really important to be in those rooms. But also, Classified Senate meetings are where we hear back from outside. It's the place where we can all gather and learn what's going on in other rooms that we may not be able to be at. So it's important. Hey, I've got area representative slots open if anybody needs something to do. Okay, let me know. And as far as learning, the district and the college, they're both growing opportunities for classified professional development. We have the unique opportunity to participate in the Cultural Literacy and Social Justice Academy. Please, if you need that QR code, I got a picture of it, so we can put that back out for our classified people. There's a Leadership Academy going on through the district that will be rolling cohorts, so I'm really excited about that. And if you want to be involved in leadership in Classified Senate, there's the Classified Leadership Institute, also opportunity. To thrive, classified professional appreciation. We last week had the opportunity to honor 4 classified professionals for their amazing work, not just in their job capacities, but at the college and what they do, and that's awesome. That's an awesome opportunity to come together and celebrate each other. We have the opportunity to create inclusive dialogue. One thing that I learned over the last year of being Classified Senate President is that I can make relationships with people I might not normally have made relationships with in the course of my job capacity, and it has grown my world immensely. And it's broadened my thought process, and it's introduced me into things that I didn't think that I could participate in, and so I just encourage you to seek out those opportunities, to grow those relationships, and to start that conversation.
Third, growing caring campus. We are always looking for participants. I think Giselle kind of hit the nail on the head when she said, we tend to see the same people in every room. The volunteers tend to be the same people, and while we appreciate you, please don't stop coming. It would be nice to see other people get involved as well. We would love to welcome you and put you in whatever capacity you feel comfortable in. Which takes me to my United Call of Action. Giselle, you want to join me? We all know that Student Connection is a positive influence on their success and their engagement and their persistence. But the connection between classified professionals and faculty can also impact the student retention and persistence rate. Classified tend to be the behind-the-scene unsung heroes, supporting initiatives, supporting getting students where they need to be. And faculty tend to be the ones that spend the most time with the students, right? That supportive relationship and creating that connection for the student benefits them ultimately by us being able to get them where they need to be to see themselves as succeeding and continuing on with their education.
What we'd like to do is share some stories because we know that you all are already doing this work. And we put a call out last semester to just support one more student as part of our strategic enrollment management goal. And we recognize that there are a lot of people who felt like, well, gosh, I'm already helping one more student. So we ask that you share your stories. And so we have a few short stories we would like to share with you. And while we're sharing, we invite you to share your story. So that QR code is actually a link with some questions about sharing how you, as faculty, have worked with classified professionals to support a student, or you as classified professionals have worked with faculty and started that process to support a student. So I'd like to start with my first story. So this story is about a returning student, and it was so interesting that Dr. Stroud shared one of the stories about, can you please help the students who may not know how to turn on a computer? So this is a returning student. She is a child development major, and she was caring for her aging father who could no longer care for himself, and she was a single mother to a son in middle school. She, during a check-in with Professor Yumi Lee, she shared how she really broke down and shared how she was struggling. She was struggling balancing all the responsibilities she had. She was struggling with the access to a computer. She was struggling with access to a printer. And those were some of the requirements of the course. And so Yumi, being the amazing and also brand new faculty that she is, she said, okay, we're gonna make sure that we support you. And that support at that moment was emotional support. It was with a hug and an I see you, and we have your back. And then she connected with our amazing Lisa Shutt, who's one of our distinguished classified award winners. And here's an example of why she's one of those award winners. Is she gave this student access to a laptop. She gave her a space in the child development office to work with support. She made sure that she felt comfortable. She made sure that if she needed anything, she could just ask. And that student said, wow, I feel so welcomed. And that was huge. And so then, the last aspect was she was still really doubting herself. And so another classified professional, Sarah Ford, who is our site supervisor in our Child Development Center, she really saw her. She said, you have what it takes to be really successful in this profession. I want to encourage you to apply for our paid internship program so you can do what you love and get paid for it. It was the first time she had really been acknowledged at being good at something. And so this is just the first story of this team working together to make sure that a student can move forward in their plan. So thank you to that group. This is my second story. So this story is a student named Kai, a psych major in his early 20s, who over the past year and a half was silently struggling with addiction and was failing classes as a result, including his Psych 101 class 3 separate times. And we all know that 3 is that magic number where you can no longer take the class again. On his 3rd attempt, he made the brave decision to start in a recovery program, but dropping his class was the last thing on his mind. And so he got his 3rd F, and by the time he was ready to re-enroll in classes, he recognized that he was not able to take Psych 101 again. He was going to need, he thought that was the end. So that brings us to Counselor Gabe Tovar. Gabe did something really magical with this student where he made sure that he didn't feel judged. And he gave him access to the supports that he needed in order to continue to be successful. He told them, hey, what you went through qualifies for an excused withdrawal. Let me show you what these petitions look like. And so gave him the paperwork, but we know paperwork takes a little bit of time. But the people in the admissions and records office, every single one of them was kind to him, showed him how to fill out the form, printed out a form, even though it's electronic now, and really supported him in making sure he was able to fill that out. This also brings us to part-time professor Heather Adams. Heather Adams is a psych professor, and she had the student, Kai, come in and say, I don't have my petition signed yet, but I really want to take this course. And so she allowed him into her Canvas course, allowed him to stay in the class, come to the lectures, so that he wouldn't enter the class already behind by the time the petition went through. He ended up passing that class with an A, and he was able to work with this incredible BSS classified professionals, both Danielle and Shannon, who supported him in making sure that all of those petitions got signed and that they got to Dean Martin to make sure that he was able to move through quickly. He didn't graduate yet, he has 1 more year, but he completed last semester with all A's and a B.
So we know that sometimes the direction of faculty and staff help starts in the classroom, but a lot of the time it happens from the classified interactions with the student. So I'm going to read, because these are people's stories, I'm going to go ahead and read the story. This is from Rosalinda Vieira. It said, we often have students who take classes in the wrong order or not prepared for the intensity of the program. There are some things I can help them with, but not everything is easily fixed. We have several classes with lower than desired success rates. I worked with an adjunct instructor, Jen Gomez, and Dean Troy Gavat in counseling. We first started group student and support work groups, then integrated last semester tutors. This semester, we are expanding tutoring in more classes and including additional courses within that level. So it's just another situation where classified and faculty are working together for the better of the student, which is always, it's something that we know happens a lot, we don't always call out. Oops. So I got another last minute story, and it's just really important, and it's short, so I thought I would share it with you because it's just impactful. It says, as part of the evaluations team, I frequently collaborate with faculty, deans, and classified staff in the academic offices in order to help students meet their degree requirements, mostly concerning their major requirements. On some occasions, we have students who will not be able to graduate as planned due to deficiencies that they were unaware of for various reasons. Since the goal is to see students graduate, it's often very distressing to call students with disappointing news, but we always do our best to find solutions by reaching out to the departments that may be able to provide support. One of these challenging times stands out to me because it happened during the early stages of the pandemic while we were working remotely. The evaluators were processing degree applications for students who were planning to graduate in spring 2020. One of my students was short 1/2 of a unit in an overall required 60 units. It was mid-April and too late to add a class. The student was devastated. She's a single mom who works full-time. She'd been working toward a human services degree for the past several years, sometimes only able to take 1 or 2 classes at a time. She had persevered for her family, and she needed this degree for her job. She told me she felt defeated. I was disheartened, but I decided to reach out to the Office of Administration faculty, Kevin Alvasos and Nancy Backman, shut up, who were very encouraging and helpful. They were able to assist the student in enrolling in a 1-unit open entry, open exit course that allowed her to complete by the end of the semester. The student was relieved and overjoyed. However, her graduation story doesn't end there. To the disappointment of us all, the 2020 commencement ceremony was canceled due to the pandemic. We moved forward as best we could, and we were finally able to plan a full commencement ceremony in 2022 to celebrate the 100th MJC commencement. As the spring 2022 semester was winding down, I was surprised when my 2020 student called asking if she could possibly participate in the ceremony so that her family could see her cross the stage and celebrate her success. We made it happen. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the commencement check-in, and we shared a happy moment together. It was very rewarding, and it's an example of the importance of teamwork and collaboration between faculty and staff in helping our students achieve all their goals. Thank you, Rhonda. We see thousands of students a year, but to the students in those stories, the extra care and effort helped keep them on a path to reaching their dreams. And as the Strategic Enrollment Management Group, we're asking you for 100 students. And to us, it's 100 students, but to that one student, we were the difference between quitting and being able to fulfill their goals. And I just want to say thank you, because that's the most important thing probably that we need to remember.
Thank you, everyone.
Please help me welcome to the stage MJC Online Education Director Shushma Jolly and Coordinator Mike Smith.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Smetshammer. I'm your Distance Education Coordinator, and I'd like to introduce Dr. Sushma Jolly, who is our new Director of Online Education.
Meet you all. It's such a pleasure to meet you all. I feel honored to be part of MJC community. I'm sorry, I'm recovering from a sore throat, so I have a frog in my throat today. I let Mike read more about the nominee. I look forward to working with you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sushma. I'm sure your voice will be better real soon. About the Online Instructor of the Year. The award is 10 years old today. Since 2014, students and faculty have nominated the winner. The person should be recognized for creating an outstanding online experience for our students and for contributing to the online program at MJC. Past recipients include Louis and Michelle Marua, Jenny Long, Jesus Navarro, Jessica Brennan, Tony Pacheco, Nita Gopal, Steve Miller, Rob Stevenson, Amy Duffy, Kim Duran, and Becca Dennis. So there were 298 nominations this year, a fantastic sign of how much our students appreciate excellence in online teaching. And I'd just like to pause and do a shout out to all of the online instructors out there. Most of our students are online. Let's not forget, most of our students are online. And you all have done a lot of training, and there has been a whole culture of culturally responsive teaching that has gone into that training and what you've been doing there. And you'd all make Zaretta Hammond proud for her culturally responsive teaching in the brain and the warm demander pedagogy and the liquid syllabi that you've created and the course cards that you've done and the welcome statements and the welcome to the class survey that you do and all of the videos that you've learned how to do, and all of that is going into your courses, and those equity gaps are closing, so the work is paying off. So please keep up that excellent warm demander work that you're doing. So about this year's winner, one student writes, my instructor has been so good at reminders, posting all the information we need for assignments, and made it very easy to understand what the instructor was looking for on each assignment. The instructor answers my emails in a timely manner and is very thorough with explanations. The one thing I appreciated was always giving me feedback on my assignments and being very positive on my submission comments. I can't speak for everyone, but I really enjoyed my online professor, who I think would be very deserving of this award. Another student writes, perfect class structure. Easy to keep up with assignments, due dates, provides videos with explanations of assignments and lessons, along with supporting information about the lesson and assignments, places announcements, keeps us up to date with due dates and when new lessons become available. It shows that the instructor wants us to succeed. Another student, I'm nominating this teacher because of the way the class is set up. It's very easy, the way the instructor explains things are always on point, but also because the instructor really engages by commenting on every assignment we have. And finally, he truly cares about his students. His reading assignments are truly helpful for personal growth and mental health. His course is a blast. I wish he offered more courses. So I, Mike here, would also add that this instructor has helped the online program by creating a video of the special way he uses Hypothesis, which is, in my opinion, the best third-party tool in Canvas. If you haven't used it, you should try it. It holds students accountable for very careful and close reading. So you may have surmised by now, perhaps, that the 2024 Online Instructor of the Year comes from the Reading Department. Please join me in congratulating Professor Chris Briggs. Chris is not able to join us, unfortunately, but we have this beautiful plaque that we are going to give him. And so when you see him, please give him a warm congratulations. Thank you, everybody.
This brings us to our intermission. Please use the QR codes and the sign-in that are in the lobby, and we will start with the raffle at 10 minutes to the hour. So that would be 10:50.
All right, I'm gonna read it one last time.
Hey, we got a winner?
Got a winner? Winner? All right, come on up. All right, let's verify it.
For a Dutch Brothers certificate, we now have the Sandwich Shop.
8981, yes. All right, next one. 47 89 49. 89 49. 47 89 49. Shake it up. All right, I'm gonna read it one last time. 47 89 49. Once, twice. All right. Okay, next one. 26 59 22. Oh, that's good. 59 22. Last four. 5922. Anybody else? 5922.
Got it?
All right, come on up.
All right, and our last one is going to be for bookish.
All right, the last one.
There's three more later.
Yeah, three more later. But this one's 265948. 5948. I'll make it on the calendar here. All right, 5948. 5948. LC. Last one. 5948. No, okay. Got it? 5948?
And just because we have a trustee sneaking in, the trustee is Leslie Biggs, and they're from here. Thank you for being here.
All right, up next. So Amy Ibarra, and also she's the health services director, and the newly hired trio SSS council coordinator, Natalie Hassel.
Everybody. In January of this year, thanks to the work of former interim president Dr. Chad Redwing, President Dr. Brian Sanders, Health Services nurse Lydia Gaines, Krista Noakes, Jeanette Fontana, campus safety, and many county stakeholders, MJC announced that the campus is now smoke and tobacco free. The policy prohibits smoking, smokeless tobacco, vaping, e-cigarettes, and all tobacco products on campus. To support cessation efforts and quit attempts, Health Services offers quit kits, online resources, screening to assess use, and 24/7 mental health support. Please visit the Health Services website for more information about the policy and support services. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So the Healthy Mind Study is a student survey designed by the University of Michigan, go blue, which MJC completed in the spring of 2023. This study provided us with so much valuable data about our students. The Healthy Mind Study is designed to look at three main topics: students' current mental health, lifestyle and behavior choices, such as sexual health practices, substance use, and engagement in their overall well-being. Thirdly, the Healthy Mind Study looked at the thoughts and ideas students have on mental health and the stigma surrounding getting help. The full study results are available on the Health Services website that will direct you to a Canvas shell with all the data from that study. Today I'm going to mention a couple of the results that seem the most fitting for our work in the upcoming semester. The first one I want to tell you about is that 87% of MJC students indicated that they currently needed help for emotional or mental health problems or challenges such as feeling sad, blue, anxious, or nervous. 83% of our students said that in the last 4 weeks, those same emotional or mental difficulties were hurting their academic performance. We also learned that 14% of MJC students indicated that they had serious thoughts or attempts to die by suicide. In a class of 40 students, 5 or 6 of them report being suicidal. The majority of our students also have indicated that faculty were their first option in reaching out for help. This study confirmed what you all have been seeing on campus already. Our students are struggling and need more support. This has reaffirmed Health Services' commitment to student wellness.
So over the last few years, Health Services has broadened its scope to include more comprehensive services for students with a larger focus on prevention and health promotion. Next year, we plan to open a wellness center, maybe this year, we'll see, a place of learning and support with a mission, vision, and strategic plan driven by student input. We continued with clinical services in Health Services from our great team of nurses and mental health providers. We also have, of course, Timely Care services and our Healthy Living series. And just this week, we launched a semester-long Movement is Medicine Challenge, and check our website to join in on our friendly competition. Informed by the Healthy Mind Study and the resiliency demonstrated by MJC students, we would like to introduce a short video shot by Sky Talone featuring student actors. It draws and centers real student experiences from MJC, and the statements you'll see convey their struggles and some positive health behaviors, including things around substance use, healthy relationships, living your truth, and connection. It recognizes the wholeness of our students and the protective factors that exist within our institution because we work every day on creating and strengthening them. And we remind students of the protective factors they carry with them, their drive to succeed, their hope for the future, and their commitment to building a better life for themselves and their families. We want our students to know that we see them, we root for them, and there's no shame in reaching out. The video is a great anchor to our work going forward in Health Services, in our new Wellness Center, and how we holistically serve students across the campus. So thank you all for your support and partnership, and enjoy the video.
For Caring Campus, please help me welcome to the stage Rebecca Cadillo.
Good morning. Let me just gather myself. If you know me, you know I cry at work like once a day. And that video did it. So thank you, Health Services. Oops. Let's adjust here. So good morning. My name is Rebecca Cadill, and I'm joined here with Lisa Allen. And together we are members of the NJC Caring Campus Work Group. I am honored to represent NJC Caring Campus here today and to share with you our purpose and some of the things that we have accomplished in this year. So if you aren't familiar with NJC Caring Campus, allow me to introduce you. We are a classified-led work group within the Classified Senate, and we are focused on creating a student-centered environment where positive and intentional behaviors from staff and leadership influence student engagement, connectedness, and academic success. Still crying. Here we go. NJC Caring Campus hopes to affect change by promoting our 5 positive practices, which include the 10-foot rule, which is the practice of acknowledging students who are within the 10-foot radius of yourself. And this can happen while you're walking through campus, or if you are at your desk and you have students kind of wandering around in front of you. Next is the practice of employee identification. And that is the practice of identifying ourselves virtually and in person to students and our community members. So name badges, silver name tags, using your signature on your emails. Next is cross-department awareness, and this is the practice of staying current on the departments, schools, and programs available on both of our campuses so that we can provide effective and efficient support to our students. Next is warm referrals, which is taking that cross-department awareness to the next level. We want to do the practice of guiding students to the help that they need, and that can mean walking them across campus or giving them detailed instructions and a highlighted route on a campus map so they can find where they need to go next. And last is our first week activities. This is the practice of welcoming students to campus at the start of each term. We want to provide assistance and help them find their way, engage in campus life, and support their decision to start their educational journey with NJC. That's what Lisa does. Yes, give her a round of applause. It's a lot of work to plan this week. Our goal is to create a culture of care at NJC, which begins with a shift in our mindset. We're reframing our interactions with students as a chance to collaborate and educate rather than simply serving our students. Second, using our positive practices. Implementing these practices into your daily routine will become habit over time and create that positive change that we're after. And third, create genuine connection. We do this by checking in with ourselves every day and adjusting our service styles so that we can provide a genuine interaction with those students. So Caring Campus invites you to take these next steps to build a culture of care at NJC. First, consider how to implement the 5 positive practices into your daily routines. This could be as simple as wearing your name tag, or as involved as creating a greeting schedule for your table or your office or building so that there's always a friendly face there to greet students as they walk in. Second, Caring Campus will put into action hosting virtual and in-person events and activities to promote togetherness amongst our colleagues and promote those 5 positive practices. And third, get involved. Attend your union and Senate meetings, volunteer at events on campus, and take advantage of any opportunity to connect with your colleagues. So to support our call to action of engagement and participation, I'd like to share a review of the events and activities NJC Caring Campus has put together in the last 12 months. So we hosted 6 Introduction to Caring Campus workshops. We worked together with YCCD Campus Safety and NJC Public Relations to design these super cool name badges and implement those campus-wide. We've held 4 Ask Me Anything events over Zoom, which offers an opportunity to learn about various employees and departments from the comfort of your desk, so you don't even have to leave. We hosted 5 building tours on the East and West campuses, highlighting the student experience and services available. We've created a project volunteer email list to promote projects on campus that support student activities like graduation, holiday events, and first week activities. We've established a new school tradition of providing first week reading tables on campus the first and second day of each term. This allows members from all over the YCCD community to engage and support students as we begin a new semester. For fall 2024, Lisa and Nick Tobin are looking to fill 144 volunteer shift positions. So if you haven't already signed up, please check your email from yesterday, and I'll also send out the link again today so you can sign up. We held our
first fundraiser to raise money to support Caring Campus projects dedicated to enhancing the student experience. Last year, we raised funds to provide 120 gift bags to the children of our students who are enrolled in the CARES program. And we provided snacks and amenities to the graduating class of 2024. Our members contributed to the Caring Campus Institutionalization and Sustainability Guidebook, which has been published and released statewide by the California Community Colleges Classified Senate. And last, we invited all of the MJC and Central Services community to celebrate our 1-year anniversary at the Great Valley Museum. We brought together 100 members of our community, which included leadership, faculty, and classified staff, to celebrate our successes and achievements, align our focus for the new school year, and to literally reach for the stars with a planetarium show. Arnold, if you're here, thank you so much. So fun. So Caring Campus is ready to take everything that we've done to the next level, and we're hoping to see more of your faces along the way. Thank you so much for your time and for allowing me to present. Again, my name is Rebecca Cadill, and I'm the co-chair of the MJC Caring Campus Work Group. If you have any questions or comments or you'd like to get involved, please email us at mjccaringcampus@mjc.edu. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, my name is Cynthia Duplo. I am a professor of English at the School of Language Arts and Education.
Buenos días. My name is Claudia Ramirez. I'm the counselor coordinator for the Puente project. So I'm here under special programs.
And together, Claudia and I coordinate the Modesto Junior College Puente project.
The Puente model has 3 components: instruction, counseling, and mentoring. Our mission is to increase the number of educationally underrepresented students who enroll in 4-year universities, earn degrees, and return to our communities as leaders and mentors.
Puente's pedagogy focuses on uplifting and validating our students' culture and identity. Similarly, Rendon's validation theory speaks to that same concept in her book, Senti Pensante Pedagogy, Educating for Wholeness, Social Justice, and Liberation. As a way to share the knowledge, we are giving away 10 copies of her book. So please look under the left armrest of your seat to see if you see a Puente logo right underneath the left armrest of your seat. We'll give you a couple seconds for that. All right, here's the first winner in the front. Awesome, good job. Congratulations. So at the end of the program today, please stop by our Puente table in the lobby so that you can claim your book voucher.
All right. Laura Rendon is a nationally recognized student advocate, scholar, and contemplative educator. She now holds the title of Professor Emerita at the University of Texas, San Antonio. She earned a doctorate in higher education administration at the University of Michigan. Rendon grew up in a low-income, single-parent household along in the U.S.-Mexico border in Laredo, Texas. Rendon is a passionate advocate for low-income, first-generation students who she feels have hopes and dreams, but often do not know how to realize them without proper resources.
She is also a teaching and learning thought leader. Rendon is the author of Senti Pensante Pedagogy, Educating for Wholeness, Social Justice, and Liberation, along with 8 other books and monographs, and an extensive list of scholarly publications focusing on fostering student success for underserved student populations. Currently, Rendon is involved in several leadership and advisory roles. Among these include the Board of Directors, John M. Garden Institute of Excellence in Undergraduate Education, and the Equity Advisory Council for the Center for Healthy Minds at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Rendon is the 2021 recipient of the Howard Brown Baldwin Distinguished Career Award issued by the Association of the Study of Higher Education. In 2023, Rendon received the Distinguished Alumni Award for Post-Secondary Education at the University of Michigan in San Antonio College.
Please help us welcome our Puente ally, champion, and mentor, Dr. Laura Rendon.
Thank you so much. Good morning, buenos dias. How are y'all doing? Ready for the year? Yeah? All right, sounds good. I'm here today to talk about student success, which is a very, very, a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I want to begin by sharing a little bit about why I'm so interested in this topic. And I know you're, an Hispanic serving institution. You want to do better with Latinx students, but other underserved students as well. So I'm a Tejana. I know, but I did live in Long Beach for about 6 years, so that gives me a little bit of credibility as a professor at Cal State Long Beach. I love California, okay? Love California. I may just come back, okay? But I grew up along the U.S.-Mexico border, my first language being Spanish. And we grew up in a community which at that time in Laredo was one of the poorest cities in the nation. So I grew up in poverty. I grew up with parents that never even finished elementary school. I grew up not going to the best schools with the best credentialed faculty, the best libraries. I had none of that. I had no one to encourage me to pursue a higher education. And it was a tough time, I remember, one that for many years I had blocked from my memory because it was so painful for me to go back to those days when we didn't have enough money, when I had holes in my shoes, where my mother and father separated and my mom had to work to be the person to bring food to the table. And sometimes there wasn't a lot of that food. And I share this with you because there are still many students who I believe would share at least some part of my story. And I know that there are some of you that would share some part of my story. And so it is precisely these students, the ones who are coming from these low-income communities, Pell-eligible students, the ones that have had no support, the ones that have hopes and dreams but often don't know how to realize them. Those are the students that are particularly near and dear to my heart because I was one of those students. And I've had an incredible journey from starting out with basically nothing to winding up at a prestigious doctoral granting university, the University of Michigan, and earning a doctorate from there. And now having the privilege to speak to college and university faculty from throughout the nation. So it's been an incredible journey, and it is a journey that I hope to determine that others can follow as well. Yeah, they don't have to be like me, but they can be, what I'm talking about is becoming leaders, becoming movers and shapers, becoming the governors and architects and lawyers. I mean, we need art people everywhere. So this is the reason that I'm interested in this topic. So one of the things that I believe educators need to understand is that not every student is starting at the same starting line. So we can't treat everybody the same. There are students that start out like me with nothing, and there are students who start out with a lot. And those are coming from affluent families. But the journey of first-generation low-income students, which community colleges serve by and large, mostly, they come from worlds that are very different than the world of college. So here you see the worlds of the student, the world of their family, their peers, their work world, their spiritual world, their community, and their native country. So they're moving from these familiar worlds to a very unfamiliar world of college. The conventions are different, the traditions are different, the people look different, the language is different. You know, I had to learn how to speak in an academic way. You know, that was a language that I was not familiar with. It wasn't part of my culture. And as they're moving from these familiar worlds to the new world of college, they dislocate and then they relocate and they experience, particularly that first semester of college, un choque. What Dona Saldúa would call un choque. And that choque means separation anxiety. It means, when we've done our research, students telling us, it was hard to leave my family because I used to take care of my brothers and sisters. It was hard to leave my family because I was the man of the house. It was hard to leave my community because I have a lot of friends there that decided they didn't want to come to college or they went elsewhere. So they had that sort of separation anxiety, which certainly I had as well when I went to college. They experience what is known in the research literature as microaggressions. These are jabs, small jabs, that are hurtful. And those jabs can be as simple as, why are you listening to that music? Why are you speaking in Spanish to your parents? What's that food? I don't like the way it smells. Those are microaggressions. They're not meant to be friendly, and many students unfortunately experience these kinds of episodes with microaggressions. And it goes all the way to graduate school. I remember when I was at the University of Michigan, and I turned in a paper. Granted, I'm in doctoral study, okay? I turned in the paper, he calls me in, and he tells me, this is a very well-written paper. Do you always write this way? So you can see the subtext of that, you know, that maybe somebody wrote it for me, okay? What he didn't know is that I was pretty good in English. That was actually my favorite subject. I was scared of math. I don't know if there are mathematicians in here. There are. But, you know, I love math now, but I was scared of math. I didn't do very well in math. And the story I remember from that is that when I was in high school, I was taking chemistry and we had to learn a lot of equations and all that kind of stuff. I forgot the whole thing. But what happened to me is that I went to Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, and there was a storm and my mom and I were running, and all of a sudden I sprained my left knee, which now needs a transplant. Not a transplant, but a new knee replacement. So essentially, I couldn't walk to school for weeks. And I failed the test in chemistry when I went back. And I was in Future Teachers of America at the time, and I got called in, and the teacher said, you cannot be in Future Teachers any longer because you failed chemistry, you have an F. She didn't ask why. And she said, teachers don't make Fs. Teachers don't make Fs. I'll never forget that experience. Well, I was pretty down that day, but something inside of me kept me going. And I'm proud to say that I not only became a teacher, but I became a university professor and scholar. So keep in mind that students will go through some of these experiences and we don't know what's going on with them. Maybe their grandmother is ill, maybe somebody died in their family, maybe they didn't have enough money for diapers that day. Our students, we need to pay special attention with them. I'm glad that you're a caring campus. I call those campuses Cariño-based campuses, because Cariño is about love and empathy in the Latinx community. But at any rate, other challenges include liminality, fancy word for being in an in-between space. One foot in their worlds, another foot in the new world of college. College affordability, always an issue. I always send financial aid money home. advising issues, sometimes being placed in the wrong track, and college readiness issues, sometimes not really not being well prepared to come to college. So here's a student talking about this experience of living in multiple worlds. If we could play that video,
College is
please.
different, very different. I see it as I have my college life and I have my personal life. When I'm at school, I'm like in school motion. I know how to speak to people about courses and how to do projects and what I plan to do for the future. I want to go to graduate school, I want to do this and that. When I'm with my parents, there's no school talk other than how you doing and how long it's going to take for you to graduate. I don't think they fully understand what I actually do at school. All they see is that I'm going to school and I've been married, I don't have any kids, how long is that going to take? That's pretty much what I'm getting from my parents. And I just think they just don't know. So it's like two different worlds. I live in multiple worlds.
So that's the experience of many, many students, and certainly was one of my experiences as well. Another issue related to cultivating success in an HSI is that we need to lead with cariño, familia, and validating relationships. And let me explain that much of what I am going to share are lessons from research of the Puente Project and the sister project in Texas called Ascender, or Ascender. That's a sister project in Texas. And I'm connected to both Puente and Ascender in a very special way, giving talks, going through their professional development programs, conducting research, etc. So what I have to share today is evidence-based. It's not anecdotal, it's evidence-based. Okay, so cariño is one of the things that both Ascender and Puente infuse their programs with. And we know that cariño is something that comes from our hearts, de nuestro corazón. It's about creating a caring campus, or a cariño-based campus, as I would call it. It's about offering validation and empathy and support, and ensuring students have the resources, knowing that our students have strengths, liberating students from past invalidation, working with students to the point that they begin to redefine themselves as capable learners, believing that they can do this work, and working with students not just as students, but as human beings. Familia, or familismo, is the strong cultural emphasis on loyalty and commitment to family, and even putting family above self. So students are very connected to their families, and that's why both Ascender and Puente leverage this value by having students work in familias. And part of what that means is that their writing assignments are shared in these groups, these study groups that are called familias. They also have a noche de familia, where they bring in the family members to interact with other students and with faculty and staff. So family, very important. The reason that cariño and familia are important is because many students go through invalidating experiences, unfortunately. There are educators who believe and communicate that families and students pick crops. They're never going to amount to anything in life, and so we don't have to really pay attention to them. That the best women can do is enroll in beauty school, and these are things that I've heard, or I'm not making these things up. That low-income students and families have too many adversities that cannot be overcome, that they don't care about education, and that these students are not college material. Well, let me tell you that those views are false. In my hometown of Laredo, there is tremendous talent there, along the U.S.-Mexico border, that is characterized by poverty. There's tremendous talent and brilliance there. Some of the top people in the nation have come from those communities. And I'm sure that that is the same here, as well as any other state
in the nation. Yes, there are students with challenges, I'm not going to say no. But we can't just, with a blanket comment say that none of that is valid, that those students aren't going to go anywhere. That is absolutely not true. So what students are needing from us, what students are needed in an HSI, and even if it's not an HSI, because what I'm saying is valid for every student. They need cariño. They need familia. They need belonging and validation. When they step onto our world, which is very different than their world, they want to see something that really conveys to them, am I being seen? Do people see me for who I am? Do I belong? Does anyone care about me here? Does anyone believe in me? Does my story, what I bring, is it valuable? Does it have meaning? Do I see myself and my culture in the curriculum? Is what I'm studying something that I can apply to make my community and the world better places to live? If we can answer these questions for these students, we've gone a long way in creating a cariño-based campus. Validation is a theory that guides both Puente and Ascender. And I developed validation theory when I was a professor at Arizona State University in the 90s. And during that time, I talked to many community college students who were in their first semester of college. And one of the things that I would ask the students was, okay, tell me why you're in college but others have dropped out. And what they said to me over and over again was the reason that they were still staying is because someone in or out of college reached out to them and said, I believe in you. I care about you. I am here for you. They found this affirmation, they found this encouragement, they found this support from what I call validating agents. So there are two forms of validation, academic and interpersonal. When I'm talking about academic validation, I'm talking about us creating a classroom where students witness themselves as powerful learners. Because you see, sometimes they're stepping into the classroom, especially that first semester, thinking, oh, I may not make it here. I may not have what it takes to succeed. But if all of a sudden we have an assignment where students get an A, or where they see themselves as capable of doing the work, that is totally transformational. I clearly remember having a talk with a student at Rio Salado Community College in Phoenix. Happened to be a white older woman. She had kids. She had separated from her husband. She told me, I thought that I needed a 4.0 to come to this community college. And I said, okay, what's turning it around for you? And she said, it's my communications instructor. The teacher gave us an assignment to do a speech and tape it. And I did it. And I brought the tape to class. And we were watching the tape. And as I was watching me giving this speech on this tape with my classmates, I said to myself, look at you. Mírala. You can do this work. So what that instructor had done, knowingly or not, was to set up the classroom so that students could witness themselves as learners. To internalize the notion that they can actually do this work. That's an example of academic validation. There are others, but I'm going to give you that one because it's so powerful. Interpersonal is really about us working with students as human beings, reaching out. How are you today? Remember the pandemic? It seems like a long time ago. It's kind of still with us, But we found ways to connect with each other, right? I'm not going to say you all did this, but remember the happy hours online? Remember the weddings, drive by, birthday parties, study sessions, just one-on-one talks, dating, all that kind of stuff. We did this because we needed each other. We needed to connect to another human being. We needed the love, we needed the cariño, we needed the compassion. We needed humanity. And now that we're easing out of a pandemic, we're kind of forgetting about some of these things, unfortunately. And it's only when we have a crisis is when we remember some of the things that are really valuable to us as human beings. And so, Daniel Solorzano, a friend of mine at UCLA, has written about microaggressions, microaffirmations. And microaffirmations are the opposite of microaggressions. They're positive in nature. Validating agents asking, how are you doing? Smiling at a student. A head nod away from a hand, a hug, a compliment, a letter. All of these are examples of interpersonal validation and what Solorzano would call micro-affirmations. So when we talk about validating agents, offering cariño, we need to understand that it's about hearing the helplessness in others. It's about reaching out with an open heart. It's about offering mercy, compassion, and care to those who are broken. This, I believe, is also what a caring campus ought to be about. Let's not forget the beautiful things that make us beautiful human beings. So, another thing that I've learned from my research with Ascender and with Puente is that they have created a counter space for learning. They have moved away from the things that could be harmful to students and replaced them with things that are positive for students. They've moved away, for example, from a deficit-based model of education. They've moved away from overlooking a student's culture. They've moved away from invalidating students, moved away from being race neutral and from only privileging Western knowledge, moved away from neglecting relationships, moved away from the view that equity is only doing the same for all, moved away from the notion that feelings and emotions do not matter. Instead, they've created a brand new counter space that is asset-based, it values familia and culture, it's validating, it's race conscious. Yes, we're not throwing out Western knowledge, but we're going to be more exclusive with other ways of knowing. It's humanistic. Equity is, yes, we want to be concerned about everybody, but we want to pay special attention to those who need the most help. And sensing and thinking approaches are valid. The next thing that I would emphasize about success is that Latinx students and underserved students have strengths. They have assets. So let's talk about some of these assets. One of the most popular models that is being employed today in the research literature is Tara Yoso's community cultural wealth model. And what Tara did is look at low-income communities that are sometimes viewed as not having anything going for them. That people there are lazy, that they don't want to move forward, etc. That they have no strengths. And so what Tara Yoso would do is object to all of that and say, wait a minute, those communities have the strength of the family. They have social capital, they have navigational capital, cultural capital, resistant capital, linguistic and aspirational capital. And what we have found with the students that we've interviewed is that they have all of those forms of capital. They have also aspirational capital, and these are Latinx students that we interviewed. They have a beautiful asset If you remember no other asset, remember this one. We call it giving back. These students have what I would call a spiritual nobility. They definitely want to earn a college degree, but it's not just to hang it on the wall. They want to earn that college degree to serve as role models for their brothers and sisters, to help their communities thrive, to make this world a better place to live. And I call that a form of spiritual nobility that these students have. A tremendous asset that I'm sure, if not all of you, like 99.9% of you have. And it's something that has also driven my work. Look, I'm a retired professor. I could be home right now watching TV and having a good time. But you know what? The work is too important. I need to continue to give back the knowledge that I have so that faculty and staff, and I speak to faculty and staff in 2 and in 4 universities across the nation, in big universities and small places. It doesn't matter. People need to hear the message that we need a new vision of education. One that is not harmful, one that is humanizing, one that is validating, one that offers cariño for our students, one that helps our students to thrive. And so it's also one that recognizes that students have assets. And so another asset is about navigational competence. Remember that diagram that I showed you? Well, students, sometimes, they work through the college. Sometimes they don't have anybody helping them. I certainly did. They figure things out. Some of them are coming from other countries, and they figure out the United States of America. Some of them are coming undocumented, and they figure out how to survive. They have that sort of navigational competence. They have what Jaime Escalante would call ganas. How many of you have seen the film Stand and Deliver? I really recommend that. That's your guy out here in California. Love Escalante. And so he tells his students, like Rafael Alvarez at San Diego City College, you have potential. All students have potential. But what you need to do is also have ganas. You got to really want this. You really need to have that determination to keep you going. So here's somebody talking about this giving back. Play the video, please.
Scared. Because that means if I'm one of the first, I'm pretty much the one setting up the path for the ones that are coming behind me. And that means that whatever decisions I make or whatever path I choose to take, it's not only going to affect me, but it's going to affect everyone coming behind me, whether it's my sister, my neighbor, or just any female or Latina that's, the next generation. And that's pretty scary because it's not just me anymore.
It's not just me anymore. It's about giving back to others. It's about the collective. It's about the we. Another important thing to remember is that we need to lead with culturally relevant and healing-based pedagogies. And HSI should know about humanizing pedagogy, about trauma-informed pedagogy, about culturally responsive and culturally sustaining pedagogy, and about something that I'm going to talk about right now that I've created, Senti Pensante, or sensing thinking pedagogy. So let's move forward in terms of discussing Senti Pensante. And prior to that, I want to emphasize that the reason that I am offering Senti Pensante as one tool that faculty can use to help students to grow and to thrive intellectually, socially, emotionally, etc., is because our students are entering a world that is becoming more and more complex. So what we've done in the past can work, but we need to think about the future as well. Here are some of the issues that our students will be asked to confront. AI. And I love technology. I think artificial intelligence can offer so much, in healthcare, infrastructures, etc. But I also know that it can be misused. And I also know that as we move on, you know, generation-wise with more and more years, AI has many dangers associated with it. And one of the most concerning dangers is that it can actually exterminate the human race. Our students are going to step into this world, but we're going to need help with these kinds of issues. We will need help with controlling future pandemics. We're going to need help with addressing racism and discrimination. We have not solved that issue. My generation has not solved these issues. If the next generation doesn't solve them, then the next that follows is charged with addressing those issues. We need students that can help us with world crises, with climate change, with doing away with these horrible hate crimes, and with addressing poverty and the wealth divide. And these are just some examples. This is a very, very complex world. So the question to ask here is our teaching and learning, is it getting to the point where our students are developing the skills and the competencies to go out into this highly complex world? And we need to give that very, very serious attention. So Senti Pensante Pedagogy, and this is the second edition now, is one tool to help us in that regard. Because what Senti Pensante does is it addresses intellectual, social, emotional, and inner life skill development. For inner life skill development, I mean having a sense of purpose, developing courage, curiosity, humility, etc. And to do that, we add a reflective component to activate deep learning so that students become reflective. And I'm calling those tools, those reflective tools, in the second edition, prácticas de conocimiento. Prácticas de conocimiento. So here's an example of what I mean by Senti Pensante Pedagogy. This is my dear friend, Dr. Norma Cantu. She teaches English at Trinity from Laredo. And the tools that she uses are photographs. She has a book called Canícula, award-winning book, where she writes about her childhood using photographs from her childhood. So she takes that same concept of using these photographs and having the students select a photograph and writing from that photograph. Because what Norma has learned is that when students step into her English classroom, many of them have felt like, I can't write. Somebody told me I can't write. They're intimidated by writing. So she's got to break through all of that. And one of the ways that she breaks through is by having students begin to write from something that they know and understand. So bring in these photographs. So here's Dr. Cantu talking about what she does. Play the video, please.
I guess the writing, whenever we work with writing, we're really working with spiritual things. And before I even wrote Canícula, I used to have an exercise for my students to remember a photograph of themselves as children and write about it. And I'm teaching description and sentence combining and all this stuff. But I have them do these guided imagery exercises and they write. And one student was writing it, and it gets very emotional because it's about themselves and their families and all that. But I guide them. You know, we start with things that are more innocuous until we get to something that's more personal. And, you know, they wrote it and went home. And they take it home. They read it in their small groups. They take it home, revise, edit, and then turn it in for me to grade. And this one student came back and her eyes were puffy, and she said, I cried all night. She says, you have helped me to know my mother. How? I had asked them to write it. She went and the picture she remembered was of her mom and she with her siblings all huddled around her mother. And so she wrote about that picture, and then she started talking to the mother. And so she was up working on that paper all night and came back the next morning and told me this, and was so grateful. I can't say that I can't take credit and say I did it. I allowed it to happen. And those are the kinds of moments. I mean, this is just one example of how something worked.
So Norma does beautiful work with her students. And in my book, Senti Pensante, I go over exactly all of the steps if you want to do this kind of work, selecting the photograph, and then having the students respond to specific questions. And then the students can actually share the photograph with others on a volunteer basis. Another example of Senti Pensante pedagogy, and I love this project, is from Dr. Alberto Pulido, who's in ethnic studies at the University of San Diego. And his práctica de conocimiento, his reflective tool, is the Cajita project. It's an art-based contemplative tool. What Dr. Pulido does is around Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, which, as you know, is a big celebration in the Latinx community. He has students construct cajitas of people that have passed on, that made an impact on their lives. And he has students select artifacts to place in the cajitas and reflect on what this means in terms of their own personal development. He has some of the cajitas in his office. I went to his office and he shared the cajita with me. Please play.
So this box here was done by a student named Valerie Bada, and the title you can see on the top sheet. I usually ask students to write like a narrative, which the students here today did a great job in. And it's called My Life as a Mestiza, Valerie Bada. And the little that I know about it, the discussions that we had about it, was that she considers herself part Chicana and part Apache. And so when you look at the imagery in terms of the symbols, you see some of the traditional symbols that you would see in terms of being Mexicana or Chicana and that whole process. But then you see some of the Native American influence. And she did all these kind of different symbols around here. You can see, Christian symbols and Native American symbols. Up on top, which you can't get access to, there's an actual field of an agricultural field. There's an eagle that's been carved in. There's a horse. There's some Native American symbols as well. And I think it just captures what the students were talking about in terms of those dualities and living in those multiple worlds.
So I've taken the Cajita project with my doctoral students and master students. These are students that are going to be student affairs administrators. So they're going to be in dorms, they're going to be in financial aid offices, they're going to be in tutoring centers. And I wanted them to reflect not just on the work, and of course we've covered all the theories and everything, all the academic work is in there, but I also wanted to reflect on who they were, what they bring to the profession of student affairs, the impact that they want to make with students, the kind of validating relationship that they need to make with students. And so these boxes are viewed the last day that we meet. We have a potluck. We have a silent gallery walk where all the cajitas are viewed in silence. And then I ask for volunteers to share their cajita. I bring my cajita as well because I feel that if I'm going to ask them to do something so personal, I ought to do this myself as well. And I can tell you that by the time we're done sharing, there's hardly a dry eye in the class. And many of these students have their cajitas in their offices, even today. Cajita project. One last example of Senti Pensante pedagogy. This is from somebody I can consider to be one of my mentors, Dr. J. Herman Blake. He's taught at a number of universities, including UC Santa Cruz. But he teaches African American studies. When I met him, he was at Iowa State. And his tools are audio narratives, photos, music, and lots of reflection. So he told me about this book, which is a hard book to read. It's called Without Sanctuary. The book is about photographs, and it includes these horrific photographs of the lynchings that took place in the South. And as Dr. Blake would say, people would come and view these lynchings and bring their children to view them. They would send these postcards to others. Horrible, horrible things that happened during those days. So what Dr. Blake has done is have the students view these photographs while they listen to Nina Simone's Strange Fruit. How many of you know this? And of course, the strange fruit is the bodies hanging from the trees. So I'll just read the first few lines. Southern trees bear strange fruit.
Southern trees bearing strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the roots. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees.
So you can imagine the impact of viewing these horrific photographs while listening to Strange Fruit. It becomes a moment of deep reflection. Yes, Dr. Blake covers all the history involved in an African American Studies course, all the leaders, all the civil rights movement, all of the content is covered. But he goes further and includes these other reflective assignments to activate not only intellectual, but social, emotional, and inner life skills. And for me, this is the kind of education that we have been missing in higher education. It is one of deep learning. It is one that really speaks to us as human beings and about caring about our humanity and about our world and about others. So that's what Sentipensante Pedagogy is all about. It's not just about feelings, it's also about academic development. I want our students to be super smart, brilliant. I want them to know everything. But I also want them to be good human beings. I want them to address those issues and help us with that so that we can move forward as a world society. So to me, this is the kind of vision that we need to think about. And this is one tool that I brought forward, but I also tell my students, take what I've done and take it to an even higher level. Push this, bring it forward, improve on it. So these are some other examples of deep learning experiences and tools that you can use if you would like to employ some version of Sentipensante pedagogy. So, people often ask me where I got the term Sentipensante, and we can play that as well. I went to Eduardo Galeano's book, The Book of Embraces, and in that book is a short couple of paragraphs that speak to the celebration of the marriage of mind and heart. And it says, why does one write if not to put one's pieces together? From the moment that we enter school or church, education chops us into pieces. It teaches us to divorce soul from body and mind from heart. The fishermen of the Colombian coast must be learned doctors of ethics and morality, for they invented the word senti pensante, feeling, thinking, to define language that speaks the truth. So we need to speak the truth in colleges and universities. As you begin to formulate the vision of an HSI, keep in mind the cariño, keep in mind the validation, keep in mind familia, keep in mind doing away with invalidation, keep in mind creating a new counter space for learning. Keep in mind that our students need to be smart, but they also need to be good human beings. Keep in mind that we need a new vision of education. And keep in mind that you can start a model here that takes us to the next level of higher education for our students. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak at Modesto. You're doing great work. I've loved meeting with some of your faculty and staff. Muchísimas gracias and best wishes.
Dr. Adele, thank you. All right, we have just one more item and then a raffle, but we've got to present the Purdy. So let me please bring up the Executive Director of MJC's Foundation, Emily Lawrence.
After 4 hours feels sufficiently welcome. And it's great to have this day because it brings everybody back together, and I've learned a lot. I learned I'm old, and that's why I can't make my computer work. And I learned that women have it better than men because big bangs from the 80s to now is a totally different image than hair to no hair. I think we got it better. I want to tell you a little bit about our foundation first before we get to the Purdy. Our foundation at MJC is a students first foundation, and our mission, vision, and strategic plan reflect our efforts to provide the best possible educational experience for our students. For many of them, that means scholarships that provide support to help them through a class, to the next semester, or to the next step in their life journey. We strive to provide the help for this experience. We appreciate all of you who help students in so many ways, some of them through the foundation. You give students your time, talent, and treasure, and that also helps them in their success journey. Foundation is much more than just scholarships. It's a bridge between the college and our community. We seek partners who are willing to invest in the futures of our students, and some of them are the future for our students. We create collaboratives, help to shape innovation, and make certain the community knows what goes on in our classrooms, programs, and initiatives. But now, since I know I'm the only thing standing between you and lunch, on to what you've been waiting for. The Purdy Award has a long and distinguished list of MJC personnel whose characteristics have impressed their colleagues, friends, and most of all, our students. Established in 1995 by Raymond and Carolyn Purdy, this award recognizes distinguished performance and excellence in teaching in the faculty ranks, and excellence of service in the classified and management sectors. This award is given at Institute Day, where we all come together to celebrate the new school year. Selections for the Purdys are no easy task. The nominations are fantastic, the nominees outstanding, and the MJC Foundation Board has a very difficult time making final selections. All of my foundation board has significant ties to the college. Some are retired instructors, some have been longtime staff members, others are vested in this community and thus the college and its programs. I value their insights into what they feel is outstanding at MJC. It is my honor to present these awards. The first award today goes out to a classified professional who who was described as the first face students see in the building. This face goes the extra mile, is always willing to assist with projects, and has embraced initiatives at MJC, namely Caring Campus. Amy Levitt said this person has had a hand in welcome tables during the first weeks of the semester and has provided resources for students needing directions, looking for services, who have questions, or just to grab a snack and a cup of coffee to set their day right. Additionally, this person has been described as being able to explain the complexity of accounting and billing to students in a way they can understand. It sounds like I need to see this person. In case that last comment didn't give it away, and perhaps the second cry of the day, our 2024 Classified Professional Purdy Award winner is Rebecca Cadet.
Really is a second credit. Thank you.
Our next Purdy Award recipient had so many nominations and supplemental emails and extra notes scribbled in the margins and thoughts dropped off by my office that the nomination page nearly exploded. This person has an extensive history with MJC, from student through various faculty roles and a myriad of resources for students. Travis Silver said that this person has worked tirelessly for decades, his all caps, not mine, at this college and in the community. Annie Shanton added that this person is an inspiration for all students and more than deserves this award. Alejandro Sabre explained that this person stands out as a professional who has given a tremendous amount of time, knowledge, and expertise to both MJC's students and the community, instilling excellence in all. He is proud to call this person a friend and colleague. And coming from Mike Sundquist, Steve Collins, Rob Stevenson, and almost every other faculty involved that will give away the surprise, this person has shared his love for and joy in music. He has developed programs, created certificates, entertained and dazzled audiences nationally and internationally with electronic music of his own composition. The performance festival list is so long, you would all grab the hook and pull me off the stage because you're hungry. This dean of local musicians, composer, producer, performer, icon in the MJC Music Department and recipient of the 2024 Faculty Professional of the Year Purdy Award is David Dow. For allowing me to recognize and celebrate outstanding individuals at MJC. And I'd like to turn it back over to our Mike Master, MC extraordinaire.
I can't help it. That's always my favorite part. Thank you to Emily and the Foundation for putting on this award every year. It's so exciting to get to celebrate those people who do the hard work of making our students belong, learn, and thrive. And I did want to say there are people who need to make people in this room belong and thrive, and we learn as well, right? And I wanted to throw out a couple of thank yous just really quickly to the production team, especially Kevin and Ty, who put this thing on with me. I really love it. Their help is just so invaluable. The Professional Development Committee, and I want to give out a couple of shouts out. Jeanette, who works tirelessly to get all of these images put together, sometimes at the very last minute. Thank you, Jeanette. Judy Wagner, who is just an absolute powerhouse. I love working with Judy. Just fantastic. Jacqueline Wingate, who managed to keep getting you blasts while it was hard to find the page so that you could figure out what to do on Institute Week. Thank you, Jacqueline. She's actually outside setting up lunch. And Cassie Wilson, who on her birthday is helping us set up lunch out there. So it's a fantastic thing. So thank you. The final thing, the raffle. Let's do this thing.
All right, get your tickets out. Starbucks. All right. 26, 59, 88. 5988, 5988, 26, 5988. Yes. All right. $5988. 5988. All right, Panera Bread. All right. Wait. All right, we'll try it. Those are the same numbers, though. Who's cheating? All right, 266002. 6002. 6002. Not here. All right, moving on. All right. 47, 89, 25. 8925. All right. Financially? 8925.
And a really quick shout out. MAPS has an event coming up September 21st, Wild Planet Day. Where's Jennifer? She's going to be giving out cards. That's a captive shout out right there. Our last one is for Camp 4.
Heard a lot of oohs and ahs. Sorry, 2, 6, 6, 0, 0, 7.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful fall semester. Make it magical for our students and enjoy lunch in the fall. We'll see you out there.